Chapter 193. Tell me about you. Xiao Chen wasn't in the mood to listen to Wang Xiongzhuang's rambling here. He sat on the bed and asked impatiently. He was originally from a big family. How could he not see the helplessness of a big family? He and Tang Tang were both victims, so although he sympathized with concubine Xia, it was not to the point of helping her. He didn't even know what to do himself, and he still wanted to help others. Yes, yes. Wang Xiongzhuang nodded, but he hesitated to speak. Are you okay? Xiao Chen frowned. Of course, with the mask, Wang Xiongzhuang couldn't see it. White Fox, are you a superpower user? Wang Xiongzhuang asked carefully. If there's nothing else, I'm leaving. Xiao Chen got up to leave. Don't. Wang Xiongzhuang was shocked and quickly stopped him. He gritted his teeth and said resolutely, that. I'm not afraid to laugh at you. Actually. I'm a natural eunuch. Natural eunuch? What natural eunuch? Ugh. Xiao Chen suddenly froze and looked up and down at young Master Wang. No way. This guy looks so attractive to girls, and he's actually a eunuch? Yes, I've seen many hospitals, and I've also asked for help from pharmacists, but it didn't work. I heard that you are a superpower user, so you should be able to help me, right? After Wang Xiongzhuang said it, he didn't care about his face and said it in one breath. You don't want to be with concubine Xia because of this? Are you afraid that she will find out? Asked Xiao Chen. Yes, and no. Wang Xiongzhuang scratched his head with some embarrassment. In fact, my psychological orientation is normal. Concubine Xia is so beautiful, I naturally have feelings. Oh, then if I cure you, you can be with concubine Xia, and then you can dump the one outside? Xiao Chen naturally leaned towards the Xia family, so he also had to consider for concubine Xia. That. Xiaoling is a very good girl. She knows about me, but she has never turned her back on me. She has never left me. Her love for me has never changed, so I can't leave her. Wang Xiongzhuang was an infatuated person. Xia Chaonan was right about this. Then if I cure you, will you harm concubine Xia? Xiao Chen stood up and was ready to leave. I'm sorry, you should find someone else to cure her. Although Xiao Chen didn't mind the children of big families having several women, he was now naturally on concubine Xia's side. He was not familiar with Wang Xiongzhuang, so he would definitely not support him. Wang Xiongzhuang was slightly stunned. Xiao Chen's, I cure you, shocked him. Then he seemed to think of something. He grabbed Xiao Chen and said, White Fox hero, don't go. I just said it casually. After all, concubine Xia is my fiancée. She is so beautiful. If I'm fine, it's normal to have something with her. But the premise is that I don't know that White Fox hero also likes concubine Xia. Then I definitely can't have any ideas about her. White Fox hero, I don't like concubine Xia, really. Xiao Chen was a little speechless. What kind of logic is this, young Master Wang? I said a few words for concubine Xia, and you like concubine Xia? If I say that I said it for Xia Chaonan, does that mean I like Xia Chaonan? White Fox hero, White Fox god, you can cure my illness, right? Wang Xiongzhuang grabbed Xiao Chen and refused to let him go. It was not that he was stupid and easy to deceive. It was just that after so many years, he had seen a lot of masters, but none of them could cure him. Later, someone pointed out to him that people with special abilities could help, so Wang Xiongzhuang began to inquire about people with special abilities. However, it was hard to say whether there were people with special abilities in this world. Since the last time he had dinner with a business partner of the Xia family, the young master of the Xia family drank too much and began to brag about how great it was that concubine Xia hired a hero. It was simply a god, so Wang Xiongzhuang remembered it. Kidney water point is naturally stagnant. Elder Heaven Ancestor said in Xiao Chen's ear, well, you are now a professional at stealing other people's wives. Xiao Chen was a little speechless. Whose wife did he steal? It seemed that it was only Tang Tang, and it was Yu Xiaochuan who forced her on him. They were obviously brothers, okay? It can be cured. Kidney water point is naturally stagnant. Xiaochen looked at Wang Xiongzhuang and said faintly, but I don't want to cure it. Since Elder Heaven Ancestor said it, there must be a way to cure it, otherwise he would not say it. In fact, Xiaochen had no money to buy medicine, and Elder Heaven Ancestor was also very anxious, otherwise he would not have said it directly. This time, Wang Xiongzhuang was even more shocked. He looked at Xiaochen, aghast. The kidney water acupuncture point was innately congested. This was told to him by a very skilled alchemist, but that alchemist was powerless. This was because this acupuncture point was not part of the meridians of a martial artist's body. Even if one consumed body-tempering liquid, it would not have any effect. But now, Xiaochen just looked at it, without a careful examination, and said the disease. That must be a very high-end person with special abilities, it could not be fake. Wang Xiongzhuang was really glad that he did not say too many bad things about CFA, otherwise it was estimated that this god with special abilities would take action against him. Wang Xiongzhuang heard that these people with special abilities could kill people invisibly, and they were much more powerful than warriors, so he did not dare to offend Xiaochen. Wang Xiongzhuang really wanted to slap himself. Why did you say that you have nothing to do? Obviously, you are not that kind of person, but you have to say that CFA is beautiful, you really deserve to be beaten. In fact, Wang Xiongzhuang really did not have any feelings for CFA, otherwise even if he did not have that ability, he would use other ways to satisfy his desire, and it was impossible that he did not even touch CFA. Hero White Fox, I really don't like concubine Xia. Although I can't divorce her, you guys can still be together in secret. I'll cover for you guys, please help me. Wang Xiongzhuang almost knelt down to Xiaochen. Don't say this nonsense, if I really want to be with CFA, do I need your consent? Who do you think you are? Xiaochen snorted. Of course, Xiaochen was just talking casually. He just wanted to make himself look a little bad *SS so that he could ask for a price later. Yes, yes. White Fox, how can you help me treat her? Wang Xiongzhuang asked quickly. Are you looking for someone to do something for you? Xiaochen was a little speechless. Is this guy so stupid? Doesn't he know that seeing a doctor costs money? Oh. Wang Xiongzhuang suddenly realized. I thought you were an expert and didn't care about money. No problem, White Fox, how much do you want for the medical fee? Xiaochen extended a finger. 1 million? No problem. Wang Xiongzhuang nodded quickly. 1 million for 1/10 of your treatment. Xiaochen said. 10 million. Wang Xiongzhuang was slightly stunned. To be honest, 10 million was really nothing for the Wang family. However, the key was that the Wang family didn't know that Wang Xiongzhuang had this problem. If they knew, the position of the Wang family's heir would have long fallen to other cousins. Would it be his turn? An heir who couldn't carry on the Wang family's ancestral line, who would support him? Therefore, although Wang Xiongzhuang participated in the family business, in fact, the annual dividend was limited. He had to use it with Shaoling and give a large sum to CFA. There wasn't much left. A few million could be taken out, but 10 million was a bit of a stretch. 10 million is because you had an additional condition just now, so I gave you a discount. Otherwise, if it was someone else, would have charged you 100 million. Xiaochen saw that he was hesitating and immediately threatened him. Okay, no problem. However, can I give you 5 million first? This is all I can take out in my account. The remaining 5 million, I will sell a few stocks tomorrow to compensate you. Wang Xiongzhuang said. Okay, prepare the money. I will go and prepare the medicine for you. Xiaochen nodded and pretended to be reluctant. Anyway, you were introduced by Xiao Fei. You can't run away. After that, Xiaochen got up and left the room. When he pushed the door open, he was shocked. He almost bumped into Xia Fei at the door. Xia Fei was shocked. She quickly closed the door behind Xiaochen and gestured for him to keep quiet. She tiptoed downstairs. Xiao Chen was stunned for a moment and followed. He couldn't help but smile bitterly. This Xia Fei has been eavesdropping at the door all this time. Because this was Xia Fei's house, and Xiao Chen didn't have anything to keep secret, he didn't set up any defenses. He didn't expect Xia Fei to eavesdrop. Of course, Xiao Chen wasn't afraid of anything, but the secret of Mr. Wang couldn't be kept. Fortunately, when Wang Xiongzhuang saw Xiao Chen leave, he immediately took out his phone to collect money. He didn't notice Xia Fei outside. Xia Fei, what are you doing at the door? Xiao Chen went downstairs and said with a bitter smile. Nothing. I was just passing by. Xia Fei's face was slightly red. You heard it all? Xiao Chen saw Xia Fei's expression and suddenly guessed something. He couldn't help but be a little embarrassed. I was just saying. I didn't mean anything to you, N. I know. Xia Fei nodded. That's good. Don't tell anyone about Mr. Wang. Since he is willing to pay for treatment, then I will treat him. Xiao Chen always felt that Xia Fei didn't believe it. Does she think that I have feelings for her? N. Xia Fei nodded again. Then I will go and prepare the medicine for him. Xiao Chen nodded and turned to go out. That. Hero White Fox, are you really a superpower user? Xia Fei suddenly shouted. You believe your family's bragging? Xiao Chen was stunned. He was a little dumbfounded. Then, can you still treat Wang Xiongzhuang? Xia Fei said, are you fooling him? That's not the case. I know some medical skills. Xiao Chen said, in this day and age, it's not so easy to be a hero. I have to be all round. Medical skills? Are you an alchemist? Xia Fei was stunned and asked. Almost. Xiao Chen nodded. He couldn't explain it. It was better to classify himself as an alchemist so that he didn't have to explain too much. Then, can you help me see a doctor? Xia Fei hesitated and asked. Chapter 194. What's wrong with you? Asked Xiao Chen. Forget it, nothing. I'm not sick. Xia Fei shook her head again. Xiao Chen was a little puzzled, but since Xia Fei said so, he didn't ask anything else. He just smiled and said, you are joking with me. Then I'll leave first. Okay. Xia Fei nodded. What made Xiao Chen puzzled was that Wang Xiongzhuang's bodyguard was nowhere to be found. Wang Xiongzhuang probably sent him away. After all, family scandals shouldn't be aired in public. Probably no one knew about Wang Xiongzhuang's matter except for Xiaoling. Xiao Chen left Xia Fei's villa and asked as he walked, how do you treat Wang Xiongzhuang's illness? Give him some herbal dregs? Why are you asking when you already know? Elder Heaven Ancestor said, he'll be fine after the knot is discharged. Okay, I'll go back and brew some for him. Xiao Chen didn't intend to give Wang Xiongzhuang the herbal dregs. Although there were some expensive herbs in the herbal dregs that were difficult to identify, with Wang Xiongzhuang's family's ability, it would be easy to find an alchemist to analyze it. Even if he didn't know what temperature to use and how long to brew it, Xiao Chen was afraid that the formula would be leaked. When he returned to the villa, Qing Menjing and Yi Xiaoye were not in the living room. Xiao Chen returned to the bedroom and set the time to brew the herbal dregs. Wang Xiongzhuang's problem wasn't big. Xiao Chen didn't intend to let him wash his bones and marrow, so he only grabbed a small amount of herbal dregs and put them in the electric pot. As long as it could cure his current problem, it was fine. As for the rest, he didn't pay. After the herbs were brewed, Xiao Chen poured the herbal dregs into a bottle of mineral water. He left home and went to Xia Fei's villa again. Wang Xiongzhuang was already very anxious. He paced back and forth in the living room restlessly. Xia Fei was lying on the sofa lazily watching TV. She turned a blind eye to Wang Xiongzhuang's situation as if it had nothing to do with her. Hero White Fox, you're back. Seeing Xiao Chen come in, Wang Xiongzhuang immediately heaved a sigh of relief. He was really afraid that Xiao Chen wouldn't come back. After all, Wang Xiongzhuang's problem was very serious. He was afraid that Xiao Chen was perfunctory before, and then he would never return. Yes. Xiao Chen nodded and handed the bottle to Wang Xiongzhuang. Drink it. Drink here? Wang Xiongzhuang was taken aback. Yes, Xiao Fei is not an outsider. She knows what I know, so you don't have to hide it. Xiao Chen said faintly. In fact, it was because Xia Fei had overheard it before. Xiao Chen was too lazy to go upstairs. When this guy was cured, he could take the money to buy herbs. Ah. I see. Wang Xiongzhuang was slightly taken aback. In his heart, he felt that there was a relationship between Xiao Chen and Xia Fei, but he didn't ask much. Anyway, this kind of expert's behavior was very strange. He could say whatever he wanted. In order to cure the illness, he was willing to kneel and lick. Then, sister-in-law White Tiger, please don't laugh at me. My illness. Let's not talk about it. I'll drink it here. And finish it. Drink it while it's hot. After drinking it, you can exercise for half an hour. Xiao Chen said. Exercise? How do I exercise? Wang Xiongzhuang was taken aback. Climb stairs, run, anything is fine. It's up to you. Xiao Chen said. Wang Xiongzhuang wasn't a martial artist, so he didn't need to exercise. Moreover, the illness he wanted to treat was relatively small. It was just a depression. It wasn't as serious as the Golden Fur Lion King. All right. Wang Xiongzhuang picked up the mineral water bottle and drank it in one gulp. Suddenly, his body felt hot. Wang Xiongzhuang knew that it was the effect of the medicine. At the same time, he was even more impressed. He quickly ran to the yard to exercise. Can he really be cured? Xia Fei looked at Xiao Chen strangely. More or less. Xiao Chen nodded. Then, can you cure everything? Xia Fei asked. I can solve difficult and complicated illnesses. I specialize in all kinds of dissatisfaction. Tomorrow, I will print a business card. Help me introduce some clients. Xiao Chen realized that it was faster to earn money from Xia Fei than from the warrior guild. Xia Fei only knew rich people. They didn't lack money, and the local missions of the warrior guild were too few. All right. Xia Fei hesitated for a while, but in the end, she didn't say anything. Half an hour later, Wang Xiongzhuang returned. Although he was sweating profusely, his eyes were shining with excitement. White Fox God, you are really amazing. I'm completely convinced. I'm cured. He didn't even need to try. In the past, Wang Xiongzhuang couldn't get it up. But now, after exercising, he naturally had a reaction. It was as if he had been holding it in for a few years and was about to explode. If Xia Fei wasn't Xiao Chen's woman, he would have raped her on the spot. However, Wang Xiongzhuang didn't even dare to think about it now. Xiao Chen was such an amazing person. He was a mutant that was even rarer than a warrior. This kind of person could kill people without leaving a trace. How could Wang Xiongzhuang dare to provoke him? In that case, I should be leaving as well, Xiao Chen said indifferently. White Fox Hero, here is a 5 million credit card. The password is 6666. Unknowingly, the black-suited bodyguard from before returned. He must have gone to get the money for Wang Xiongzhuang. Xiao Chen took the 5 million credit card with an expressionless face. I will give you the remaining 5 million as soon as possible. When I have enough, I will send it to Xia Fei. Wang Xiongzhuang thought that Xia Fei was on the same side as Xiao Chen. He was secretly envious. The Xia family was really lucky to have met such a god. Don't ignore the Wang family after you become rich. No, I have to find a chance to interact with the White Fox god. Okay. Xiao Chen nodded. He didn't leave any message for Wang Xiongzhuang. It was just right for him to send it here. Then I'll leave first. Wang Xiongzhuang left happily. He thought that Xiao Chen's "I'm leaving" meant that he was asking him to leave. After all, Xiao Chen and Xia Fei had that kind of relationship. Why would he leave? If someone were to leave, it should be Wang Xiongzhuang. Okay. Xiao Chen nodded and watched Wang Xiongzhuang and the black-suited bodyguard get into a GMC RV and leave the Xia family's villa. After he left, Xiao Chen said to Xia Fei, "I'm leaving too. Stay alone at night. Be careful. If there's anything, call me." After Xiao Chen finished speaking, he was ready to leave. "Hey, do you really have feelings for me?" Xia Fei suddenly asked Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen staggered and almost hit the door frame. Just as he wanted to say something, Xia Fei's giggling laughter came from behind him. "I'm just kidding. It turns out that the hero also has times where he can't stay calm. I'm practicing the butterfly micro-steps." Xiao Chen quibbled, "Haven't you heard of the butterfly micro-steps?" "I've heard of it. I saw it on TV." Xia Fei nodded and said in a serious manner, "Can you learn these lost techniques from TV? Are you talking about the campus bell? I have already increased the prestige of the author. He told me the mantra." Xiao Chen said casually. "Oh, then the next time you see him, ask him if he can arrange for me to be the female protagonist?" asked Xia Fei. "I'll try." Xiao Chen found out that he had been teased recently. Xia Fei didn't dare to talk to him like this in the past. "I have to be serious next time. However, you can wait until the day you can arrange for me to be the male protagonist. Then, you can be the male protagonist." "Oh, you're still interested in me. Otherwise, why do you want to be the male protagonist?" Xia Fei looked like she understood. Xiao Chen suddenly blushed. What he meant was that she had to wait, which meant that there was basically no chance. He didn't expect to be misunderstood by Xia Fei. "I'm leaving. Hee, goodbye." Xia Fei waved to Xiao Chen. In fact, she was joking with Xiao Chen because she was usually too depressed. Every day seemed to be comfortable, but in fact, it was simple and boring. She had no friends, no lover. She was alone in the villa, accompanied by a Tibetan mastiff and her mahjong friends. Therefore, when she suddenly had a friend she could talk to, even if it was a very powerful and mysterious person, Xia Fei couldn't help but make a few jokes. In fact, she didn't have any other meaning. Xiao Chen left the Xia family and quickly walked in the direction of the pharmacy. He weighed the 5 million in his bank card in his hand and silently prayed that he wouldn't run into Hongzhu again. However, when he arrived at the entrance of the pharmacy and looked inside. Damn! Hello, handsome. Hongzhu, who was originally quietly reading a book, suddenly raised her head and smiled at Xiao Chen, who was preparing to leave the door quietly. Xiao Chen had already decided that even if he had to delay his cultivation for a day, he would come back tomorrow. He had been cheated badly last time. Money wasn't that easy to earn. "Ah. It's little sister Hongzhu. Hello, I'm just passing by," Xiao Chen said. "Passing by? Aren't you here to buy medicinal ingredients?" Hongzhu placed her hand on the edge of the pharmacy's door and leaned forward. Half of her body was out of the door, revealing a V-shaped hook on her chest. Xiao Chen couldn't help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. In fact, the extent of Hongzhu's body was not as exposed as those office ladies on the street. Xiao Chen could only vaguely see through her shirt. Even so, Xiao Chen felt that she was particularly attractive, and he couldn't help but be unable to extricate himself. Xiao Chen moved his gaze away with difficulty. Sometimes, it was even more tempting for a man to be vaguely seen. It had to be said that Hongzhu's every move moved Xiao Chen. He couldn't wait to push her onto the counter. However, Xiao Chen was a person with self-control. If he really pushed a woman of unknown origin like this, he might not even know how he died. "I originally planned to buy medicine, but I haven't saved enough money. The last time, it was too expensive," Xiao Chen said after taking a deep breath. "Oh. Then how much money did you have this time? Tell this little sister, and this little sister will give you a discount." Hongzhu looked at Xiao Chen with a smile. Her breath smelled like orchids, and faintly seemed to float onto Xiao Chen's face. It made him feel a little itchy, as if ants were scratching him, and his heart was also itching. Not much, not as much as the last time. Xiao Chen calmed his mind and said. Chapter 195. If not, then how much? Hong Zhu's eyes flashed with imperceptible surprise. For Xiao Chen to be able to maintain his composure in such a situation, he really was a formidable character. Don't be fooled by his foolish and easily tricked appearance. In reality, how much are you selling it for this time? Xiao Chen asked. How about the same price as last time? 25 million? Hong Zhu asked. How about you earn another 2 million? Xiao Chen countered. Ah. Hong Zhu, who had always been calm, could not remain calm this time as he looked at Xiao Chen in astonishment. He was speechless for a long time before he finally asked, How did you know? Hong Yan told me, Xiao Chen said. Liar. Hong Zhu suddenly changed the image of a sexy little enchantress and fiercely glared at Xiao Chen. My little sister hasn't returned for the past few days. How did you find her? Xiao Chen did not think that he would be exposed and immediately felt a little embarrassed. Actually, I secretly overheard it when I was at the door that day. Really? Hong Zhu's eyes flashed with suspicion. Of course it's true, Xiao Chen nodded. Then what else did you hear and see? Hong Zhu suddenly asked. Nothing much. Xiao Chen was taken aback. Did Hong Zhu take off his clothes and go to sleep after that? Alright, I'll sell it to you for 3 million this time. I did indeed earn 2 million last time. Hong Zhu's sudden straightforwardness surprised Xiao Chen. Really? Xiao Chen did not quite believe Hong Zhu's words. This little magical girl was a little strange to him. Really? Hong Zhu nodded. When has little sister ever lied to you? Then, give me a portion. Xiao Chen really found it a little inconceivable. Why did Hong Zhu suddenly become so easy to talk to? However, even after Hong Zhu handed him the medicine and Xiao Chen swiped his card, nothing out of the ordinary happened. Xiao Chen walked out of the pharmacy in a daze, feeling that things had gone a little too smoothly. However, as soon as Xiao Chen left the pharmacy and turned onto the small road to return to the villa area, he felt a strong gust of wind behind him. Xiao Chen was shocked. He hastened his steps and his body kept drifting to the left and right. Only then did he manage to dodge the attack from behind. Who is it? Xiao Chen came back to his senses and saw a person in black night clothes standing not far behind him. Because this person was masked, Xiao Chen couldn't determine her identity. However, from the physical characteristics, it was a woman, and her figure was very good. Not bad, to actually be able to dodge my sneak attack. The night woman looked at Xiao Chen. Her voice was very pleasant, like a moan, full of charm. However, Xiao Chen was sure that he had never heard this voice before. As the woman spoke, Xiao Chen suddenly fell into a trance. It was as if the person standing in front of him was an extremely beautiful woman. Xiao Chen inexplicably felt that this woman should only exist in the heavens, and could only be seen a few times in the mortal world. Although he couldn't see her face clearly, Xiao Chen felt that the person in front of him was a fairy that had descended from the mortal world. That kind of beauty seemed otherworldly. Charm technique? Xiao Chen, don't fall for it, be careful. Elder Heaven Ancestors' warning sounded in Xiao Chen's ears. Charm technique? Xiao Chen was stunned for a moment, but he immediately came to his senses. The woman in front of him was still the night woman whose face couldn't be seen clearly. Where was this fairy? Even if the woman's figure was beautiful and graceful, she was just an assassin who was hostile towards him. Is sister beautiful? Do you want to play with sister? The nocturnal lady's bewitching voice rang out again. Her figure suddenly approached Xiao Chen. Sure, but take off your mask first. Let me see if you're ugly or not. Xiao Chen took a step back, his whole body was extremely vigilant. The strength displayed by this woman was at the peak of stage 5 inner force, which was one level lower than Xiao Chen. The night woman saw that Xiao Chen dodged and even asked her to take off her mask. She was stunned. She didn't expect her charm technique to fail. Could it be that he didn't fall for it? That's impossible. I must have not used all my strength just now. Thinking of this, the night woman looked at Xiao Chen and said coyly, "Sure, but only for you to see. Come here, sister, will show you. Not only can you see my face, but you can also see other parts of my body." Good. Good. Xiao Chen sneered in his heart. He casually set up an illusion. Xiao Chen, who looked like a pig, walked towards the woman with blurred eyes. The night woman saw that Xiao Chen had fallen for her trick, and was overjoyed. She thought to herself, "I knew it, I'm the genius witch of the mystic faction, how could I not deal with you? Humph, you finally fell for it, huh? I'll beat you up first." Bam! 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 The night woman punched and kicked Xiao Chen's illusion in the air, and Xiao Chen took the opportunity to escape. The way the night woman came was a little strange, and from the looks of it, she didn't want to kill him, and he didn't know what she wanted. However, the night woman was a martial artist at the peak of stage 5 inner force, and Xiao Chen didn't have much confidence. Instead of fighting her head-on, it was better to escape. Of course, the reason why Xiao Chen was able to use the illusion to successfully deal with a martial artist who was a level higher than him was also because the strength of the nocturnal woman was not particularly high. Although she was at the peak of the 5th stage of inner strength, she was not a normal martial artist. If Xiao Chen was not surprised, she should be a demonic cultivator. Demon cultivators of the same level were not as strong as martial cultivators in a head-on fight. They were good at supporting spells, which were similar to true cultivators. Xiao Chen now suspected that be it martial cultivators or demonic cultivators, had they all evolved from cultivators in the beginning? Or in other words, true cultivators evolved from true cultivators. The nocturnal woman was proficient in seduction techniques, so her strength at the peak of the 5th stage was probably equivalent to a normal martial artist's inner strength at the peak of the 4th stage. Xiao Chen had taken advantage of her being caught off guard, and in the most impossible situation, he had fallen for Xiao Chen's illusion. Xiao Chen disappeared like a wisp of smoke. The nocturnal woman was still hitting the air. After hitting for a long time, she suddenly realized that something was wrong. Her vision blurred, and Xiao Chen, who was beaten black and blue by her, disappeared. Illusion. It's actually an illusion. The night woman was so angry that she gritted her teeth. Today was really embarrassing. She had always used her illusion-like seduction skills to deal with others, but today, she was given a taste of her own medicine, and lost her mind. "Xiao Chen, you're very good. I wanted to test you, but now, there's no need for that." When Xiao Chen returned to the villa, he started to decoct the medicinal ingredients. After setting the time, he fell into deep thought and recalled what happened today. The night woman that he met tonight made Xiao Chen feel a little strange. Judging from the situation, she shouldn't be one of Chao Yuliang's people, and definitely not one of Lu Zhenming's people. Lu Zhenming had temporarily called a truce for Qing Menjing. It was still unknown when the war would start, but now it was definitely not one of his people. And Chao Yuliang basically wanted to kill him the moment he made a move. Moreover, he had just treated him to a meal, and now he wanted to kill him? Was there something wrong with him? This was too unnecessary. If Xiao Chen didn't guess wrong, Chao Yuliang should be making a move tomorrow and the day after. As for the Sun family, it was possible. A few days ago, Xiao Chen had just beaten up Sun Rongjin in the morning market street. After so many days, Sun Rongjin should be able to find out his identity. However, Sun Rongjin was such a ruthless person. Last time, he sent Lu Dianbiao to kill people, so it was impossible for him to get a little girl to use seduction skills on him. Elder Heaven Ancestor, what is this seduction skill? Why do I feel that the martial artists of the demon sect are similar to the cultivators? Xiao Chen couldn't figure it out, so he naturally asked. Yes, in this world, in the beginning, there were not so many detailed divisions. Everyone was collectively known as the cultivators. Elder Heaven Ancestor nodded and said to Xiao Chen, "It is time to let you know about this history." Cultivator. So, cultivators also belong to this? After listening, Xiaochen couldn't help but ask, then why is it said that cultivators are high-end bad *SS professions? We all evolved from cultivators. Diamonds and pencils are both carbon elements. Is there any comparison? Elder Sky harumphed, when a cultivator evolves to a lower level, they become a warrior. When they evolve to a higher level, they become a cultivator. Oh. So, other cultivators also exist in this world? Xiaochen asked. I don't know whether they still exist or not, but based on my current observation, the heaven and earth spirit chi around you is so thin that only martial artists can continue to exist. Elder Heaven Ancestor said, and you are a different species. I also don't know how you cultivated so fast. This was the topic that Xiaochen didn't want to talk about the most. It was a good thing that his cultivation speed was fast, but the side effects were unknown, especially when the devil chi entered his body. Xiaochen really didn't know what he would become in the future. Let's not talk about this. Let's talk about the demonic cultivator today. I have been asleep for too long. I am not too clear about the situation in the secular world. She should be a disciple of some demon sect, but I don't know the specifics. I only know that she used seduction skills. Elder Heaven Ancestor said, however, she doesn't have any killing intent towards you. Is it because one of the girls that you betrayed in the past learned martial arts and came back to take revenge? Love and hate, can't do it? Pfft, I'm still a virgin. Xiaochen was amazed by Elder Heaven Ancestor's imagination. Betrayal doesn't necessarily have to happen. Falling in love sometimes happens in an instant. Love and hate happen in an instant. Raising a glass to the moon is like the sky. Elder Heaven Ancestor sang, I'm sorry, I'm just expressing my feelings. I thought of some things in the past. Xiaochen realized that Elder Heaven Ancestor was familiar with him. He was no longer the strict master who was difficult to talk to, but more like an old urchin. Master, were you also trapped by love in the past? Let's not talk about this. Think about whether you provoked a little girl, Elder Heaven Ancestor said. I don't think so. Xiaochen thought about it but couldn't think of anything. The only demon sect disciple that he knew was Yi Xiaoya. There was no one else. Chapter 196. However, since he couldn't figure it out, Xiaochen didn't want to think about it anymore. Continuing to improve his strength was the right way. After the medicinal herbs were decocted, Xiaochen drank it all in one gulp. When the warmth once again surged into his heart, Xiaochen began to train crazily. He didn't want to waste the slightest bit of medicinal effect. After exercising, there was an indescribable feeling of comfort all over his body. And the distance to the 5th level of Qi refining stage, Xiaochen felt that he had touched the long-awaited barrier. This was the happiest thing for Xiaochen. After spending so much money on it, there were finally signs of a breakthrough. Something's wrong. Before Xiaochen finished being happy, he heard the voice of Elder Heaven Ancestor in his ear. In the past, every time at this time, you could break through the barrier in one fell swoop. Why can't you do it now? Little Chen Zi, I've also noticed that your cultivation speed has become slower recently. Xiaochen carefully thought about it. It seemed that every time he touched the barrier, he could break through in one fell swoop. It was rare for him to stay here. Could it be that his good luck had come to an end? But this thing depended on luck. Wasn't it talent? Isn't the higher the level, the harder it is to break through? Xiaochen thought for a moment and asked. In theory, it is, but I saw that every time you broke through so quickly, I thought that was not the case, said the Elder Heaven Ancestor. You first practice for a night and see the situation. Maybe you can break through tomorrow. Tomorrow. Then this medicinal herb would be wasted. Xiaochen was a little distressed. Oh right, my medicinal dregs are not the same every time. The effect of treating the injuries of those warriors and ordinary people should be different, right? At present, the medicinal herbs that you took in the Qi refining stage have the same effect on them. The Elder Heaven Ancestor said, it is different for you because every time I add precious medicinal herbs, Most of the medicinal efficacy of these precious medicinal herbs have been absorbed by you. After 3 times, there is not much left. Therefore, to them, as long as a little rare medicinal herb is combined with other basic medicinal herbs, it will be enough to treat them. If you really want to give them medicinal herbs that you haven't taken before, hee. What do you mean? Asked Xiao Chen, taken aback by the sinister laughter of the elder heaven ancestor. He couldn't take it, and his meridians flowed in reverse, and his body exploded. The elder heaven ancestor said, "Damn, it's that serious." Xiao Chen's eyes widened. Then why am I fine? Don't you have the heaven-stolen fortune battle art? The elder heaven ancestor said disdainfully. With such a powerful mantra, how could there be a problem? Didn't I practice the opposite way? Xiao Chen said. In that case, did he almost die from practicing? Who can you blame for training in the opposite direction? A gentleman can't blame himself. The elder heaven ancestor said, besides, aren't you training normally? There's nothing wrong with you. Fine. Xiao Chen knew that he couldn't argue with the elder heaven ancestor. At first, he was afraid that his prescription would be leaked, but now it seemed that whoever caught him according to the prescription would probably die after drinking it once. In the past, Xiao Chen would have been very happy, but now, should he remind Hong Yan and Grandpa Chen of the pharmacy? When he thought of the pharmacy, Xiao Chen suddenly thought of Hong Zhu. He didn't know why, but Xiao Chen felt that the girl who had come looking for trouble tonight was Hong Zhu. However, their voices were different. As for the figure, Xiao Chen didn't look carefully. As for the face, it was covered, so he couldn't see it clearly. The similarity between the two was just an illusion of Xiao Chen. Hong Zhu liked to seduce and tease him, and so did the girl who was looking for trouble at night. But if he thought about it carefully, Xiao Chen didn't think that the two were the same person. After all, Xiao Chen didn't offend Hong Zhu. The two had just met not long ago, and Xiao Chen didn't know her before. Moreover, he paid for the medicinal materials and didn't rob them. It was impossible for Hong Zhu to target him for no reason. Shaking his head, Xiao Chen put this idea aside for the time being. No matter who it was, it would be enough to see if the other party would kill him next time. The only thing Xiao Chen could do was to improve his strength as soon as possible. The next day was Saturday. It was the day that Xiao Chen, Qing Menjing, Jin Beibei, Chao Yuliang, Qin Jinpeng, and Shen Jingxian went on an outing. Xiao Chen sent a message to Tang Tang, telling her that he couldn't sell fried dough sticks today and that he would go on an outing with Qing Menjing. Soon, Tang Tang's message came back, "Come on, push down the goddess. I support you." Xiao Chen was rendered speechless. Why did he have to push her? He should have pushed her. But Xiao Chen didn't reply. After all, he and Tang Tang were sometimes more than just good friends. Xiao Chen didn't want them to be more awkward, so he deliberately avoided this kind of joke. Xiao Chen directly replied that he was just a follower. But before Tang Tang replied, another phone card with the identity of White Fox called. "Hey, hello." Xiao Chen picked up the phone. This was also the number given by the Warrior Guild. Xiao Chen didn't know who was calling. "Is this Mr. White Fox?" A voice with a foreign accent came from the other side of the phone. "Yes, and you are?" Xiao Chen asked. "Let me introduce myself. My surname is Zhang, and my name is Zhang Tianhao. I issued the level 4 task of killing the evil cultivator in the Warrior Guild." "Oh, it's Mr. Zhang. Hello." Xiao Chen confirmed the identity of this person, so it was not surprising that he had his phone number. This person was the rich child whose girlfriend was killed by the evil cultivator. This name was really rich. "Mr. White Fox, thank you for avenging Ping Ping. I want to thank you in person. Where are you now? Are you still in Songning City? Can I go to you?" Zhang Tianhao said. "No need to thank me. You have paid me." Although the other party didn't mean any harm, Xiao Chen didn't want others to know his real identity. He also didn't want to have too much contact with the person who issued the task. After a while, Zhang Tianhao said, then I will tell you the truth. Before, I was afraid that Mr. White Fox wouldn't be happy if I said it. Actually, I have something else to ask of you. If I say it directly, I am afraid that Mr. White Fox will think that I am a profiteer. When I need Mr. White Fox's help, I call you. When I don't need you, I didn't call you to express my gratitude even after the task ended a few days ago. Oh. Xiaochen raised his eyebrows slightly. Then what do you want? Nothing. Zhang Tianhao suddenly said and directly hung up the phone. Xiaochen was slightly stunned. What was wrong with this Zhang Tianhao? He stopped talking halfway. Did he have something to say or not? Far away in a villa in the city, Zhang Tianhao hung up the phone with a resolute look on his face and threw the phone aside. Opposite him, a black-clothed man whose face couldn't be seen clearly suddenly became angry. I told you to call him and ask him out. What the hell are you doing? Ping Ping is already in a living hell because of you. She is staying in the hospital's ICU ward. I have nothing left. Just kill me. I don't want to hurt my benefactor. Zhang Tianhao said decisively. Hee hee. She is just a woman. Do you want to follow in her footsteps? The man in black sneered, or, are you playing tricks on me, waiting for your Zhang family's warriors to come and save you? I might as well tell you, although I am a heretic, it doesn't mean that I don't understand modern technology. The signal of your alarm has already been blocked by me. You can't even send out a signal. If you don't want to die, call me and ask him out. This heretic was called Witch of Shishan. The heretic that was killed by Xiao Chen and Yi Xiaoya together was his disciple. He didn't expect that he would be killed by Zhang Tianhao's mission when he just started to roam the Jianghu. Feeling humiliated, Witch of Shishan came out to avenge his disciple. He didn't plan to let Zhang Tianhao go, but before he killed Zhang Tianhao, he had to kill White Fox and Yi Xiaoya first. Of course, he knew Xiao Chen's phone number. If he went to Songning City, he might be able to find Xiao Chen. However, he didn't dare to be too high profile. He was a well-known heretic and had long been on the blacklist of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau and the Warrior Guild. He was a wanted person. If the Warrior Guild or the Supernatural Investigation Bureau sent experts, he wouldn't be able to get revenge, but he would also be in trouble. Years ago, he was seriously injured by an expert from the Supernatural Investigation Bureau, which greatly reduced his strength. Otherwise, he wouldn't have to be so careful when he returned to the Jianghu. After all, he was just a heretic with stage 6 inner force, only slightly stronger than his disciple. I've said it before. Why don't you kill me? Anyway, I've already gotten my revenge. Looking at Ping Ping every day makes me feel like I'm better off dead. The sooner I die, the sooner I can be free. Zhang Tianhao said calmly, if you have the ability, find him yourself. You think I can't? Witch of Shishan was angry, I just don't want to waste time. Xiao Chen, on the other side of the phone, heard everything clearly. Zhang Tianhao didn't really hang up the phone, but let the conversation be transmitted to Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen didn't expect that killing a heretic would cause so much trouble. His disciple died, and his master came to avenge him. What worried him the most was the strength of this master. He didn't know if he had the confidence to deal with him. Moreover, if this heretic master found him, he would definitely find Yi Xiaoya. Then, wouldn't Yi Xiaoya be in danger? However, Zhang Tianhao was already very kind. Xiao Chen was very grateful that he was willing to go this far. He was the one who issued the mission, and Xiao Chen was the one who accepted the mission. There were risks when doing a mission. If one couldn't bear the risk, then don't do it. Therefore, even if Zhang Tianhao told his heretic master Xiao Chen about his whereabouts, he wouldn't hold a grudge, let alone not tell him. Therefore, Xiao Chen still admired Zhang Tianhao, and he immediately had a good impression of him. However, Xiao Chen was in a bit of a dilemma. This heretic master would find him sooner or later. How should he deal with him? With his current strength, it was definitely impossible. Chapter 197. The conversation on the other side was still going on. Then wouldn't talking to me waste more time? Zhang Tianhao sneered. If I ask him out, will you let me go? I don't think so. I have already investigated. You are a direct descendant of the Zhang family. I have achieved my goal. Why should I make enemies with the Zhang family? What the witch of Shishan said was reasonable. Okay, then I will make another call. On Zhang Tianhao's side, the information was almost revealed. If the white fox refused to meet, it was not his fault. He would let the witch of Shishan think of another way. Hurry up and call. Seeing that Zhang Tianhao agreed, the witch of Shishan let out a sigh of relief. He sneered in his heart. After I kill the white fox, it will be your turn. The moment Zhang Tianhao picked up the phone, he hung up the call with Xiao Chen and dialed again. Hello. Xiao Chen also cooperated and pretended to have just answered the call. What happened just now? Did it suddenly stop? Ah, it did. Zhang Tianhao was taken aback. He did not expect Xiao Chen to be so cooperative. However, he also heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed that Xiao Chen had understood what he meant. Let's talk about the same thing as before. Can we meet? I want to thank you personally. Also, there's something else, say it, Xiao Chen said. It's my girlfriend Ping Ping. I heard that Mr. White Fox is also proficient in medicine. Can you help me? Zhang Tianhao asked. Xiao Chen was speechless. Where did you hear this? His story was quite accurate. Oh, about that, I can't guarantee anything. What's wrong with your girlfriend? She was cut open by the evil practitioner and lost a lot of blood. Now she is in a vegetative state. She is not out of danger yet. Out of the ICU. Zhang Tianhao said. Oh, that's fine. However, I am now on a mission. How about I contact you when I get back? Xiao Chen thought that he had to break through to the 5th level of the Qi refinement realm. His current strength was too weak. Of course, it would be better if he could reach the 6th floor, but he definitely couldn't delay it for that long. That evil cultivator's master was very anxious, and he estimated that he could only delay it for a few days. Okay, no problem. I'll wait for your call then. Zhang Tianhao replied. He was a little confused. Did that mean Xiao Chen had agreed? Did Xiao Chen have the strength to kill the evil cultivator's master? After hanging up the phone, Zhang Tianhao said to the witch of Shishan, You heard it, he agreed. Very well, I'll leave you a phone number. If there's any news, contact me. Old witch of West Mountain nodded. But don't lie to me. You also know that although I may not be able to do anything to you if you mobilize all the guards of the Zhang family to protect you, don't forget that your girlfriend is still in the hospital. It's easy for me to kill her. I don't even need to kill her. I can directly destroy the power system of the hospital, ha ha ha, I know. Don't worry, when White Fox contacts me, I'll tell you immediately, Zhang Tianhao said with a shiver in his heart. Well, you are a smart person. I like to do things with smart people. After saying that, Old Witch of West Mountain flew out of the window and disappeared into the morning fog. After Old Witch of West Mountain left, Zhang Tianhao let out a long breath. His clothes were already soaked in cold sweat. Who said that he wasn't afraid of death? His determination just now was because he didn't want to cause trouble for Xiao Chen, but when he thought of Ping Ping in the hospital, Zhang Tianhao wanted to continue to wait for her. After a while, when he was sure that Old Witch of West Mountain had left, Zhang Tianhao dialed Xiao Chen's number again. Mr. White Fox, I'm sorry to have caused you trouble. Zhang Tianhao said directly. It doesn't matter. I killed his disciple, so it's natural for him to find me. Xiao Chen said, but, do you have any information about him? Only by knowing yourself and your enemy can you win every battle. So far, all I know is that his name is Old Witch of West Mountain, and he is a stage 6 inner force evil cultivator. Zhang Tianhao said, that's all I know. Mr. White Fox, thank you for avenging me, but if you can't, you'd better hide. That's not necessary. Hearing that his opponent was only a stage 6 inner force evil cultivator, Xiao Chen suddenly felt relieved. If it was a higher level, Xiaochen would be a little afraid, but Xiaochen soon broke through to the stage 5 refinement stage. When he was at the stage 4 refinement stage, Xiaochen already had the strength of a stage 5 inner force evil cultivator. Now that he was at the stage 5 refinement stage, he should have some confidence. Okay, I understand. I will contact you when the time comes. After hanging up the phone, Xiaochen was thinking about whether he should face this matter with Yi Xiaoye or face it himself. When Yi Xiaoye teamed up with him, she didn't ask for any points and gave them all to him. Now that the evil cultivator's master was looking for trouble, if he looked for Yi Xiaoye, it would be a little unfair. Although Yi Xiaoye could share some of the pressure with Xiaochen, Yi Xiaoye was only a stage 4 inner force evil cultivator. He was afraid that not only would she not be able to help Xiaochen, but she would also be a burden. Thinking of this, Xiaochen wanted to remind Yi Xiaoye to be careful. Taking out his phone, Xiaochen opened the app and sent a message to Yi Bia, "Hey, what are you doing? What else can I do?" "Of course, I am practicing." Yi Xiaoye quickly replied. "I heard that the evil cultivator's master is called Old Witch of West Mountain. His disciple is dead, and Old Witch of West Mountain is ready to take revenge." Xiaochen said. "What? Is it true? Old Demon of West Mountain?" After a while, Yi Xiaoye replied with a message. Obviously, she was shocked. The source of the news is more accurate. "Do you know Old Witch of West Mountain?" Xiaochen asked. "No way. You don't know? You look silly like a newcomer, but I didn't expect it to be true. Are you a disciple of the evil sect?" Yi Xiaoye sent a surprised expression. "No one has told me about this before. Tell me, what kind of person is this old demon Shishan?" Xiaochen's heart trembled. This old demon Shishan seemed to be a very awesome person. Old Witch of West Mountain is the younger brother of Old Witch of West Mountain who used to be powerful for decades. After Old Witch of West Mountain retired, Old Witch of West Mountain stepped into the martial world and set off a bloody storm for a while. Later, he was injured by the masters of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau and the Warrior Guild. Old Witch of West Mountain disappeared. I didn't expect him to come back. I don't know the details. Anyway, when I was a child, I didn't listen to my master when I was cultivating. He scared me and said that Old Witch of West Mountain was coming." Yi Xiaoye replied. "Pfft. This Old Witch of West Mountain could scare a child. That was a really awesome person. However, why was he only at stage 6 of inner force?" Therefore, Xiaochen asked, "Then why is he only at level 6 inner force?" After being injured by a master, he escaped. But even if he didn't die, it's normal for his strength to fall. It's just that his disciple was a little too weak. Yi Xiaoye said. "I guess he was killed by a difficult mission not long after he came out to train. If he had been targeting ordinary people, I guess he wouldn't have died so quickly." Xiaochen said. "That's true. Then you should be careful. Don't get caught by him. If you see his whereabouts, you must report it to the Warrior Guild and ask for protection." Yi Xiaoye said. "Oh. I can report it and ask for protection?" Xiaochen was slightly stunned. Originally, he wanted to remind Yi Xiaoye to be careful. He didn't expect Yi Xiaoye to remind him first. "Yes, it's in the app. You can look for it," Yi Xiaoye said. Xiaochen searched for a while and found an "I want to report" option. There was a note inside. When a martial artist encountered an evil force that he couldn't solve, he could seek help from the Warrior Guild. The Warrior Guild would decide whether to solve it or not according to the severity of the case. It could even cooperate with the masters from the Supernatural Investigation Bureau to solve it. However, what made Xiaochen helpless was that to report a case to the Warrior Guild, he had to fill in his real identity information. This was a necessary first step. It was probably to prevent people from making a false report, right? However, Xiaochen's identity couldn't be exposed. If his identity was exposed, it might be even more troublesome than Old Witch of West Mountain. He really couldn't seek help randomly. Then, are you going to report it? Xiaochen asked Yi Xiaoya. I can't. Master doesn't allow me to reveal my real identity. Moreover, I'm going to break through in seclusion. I feel that I've already touched the barrier of stage 5 inner force. Yi Xiaoya said. Me too. I can't reveal it. Xiaochen replied helplessly. Then we'll wait for the warrior guild to find out. As long as we hide well and don't go out, he won't be able to find us. If he appears frequently and is discovered by the warrior guild, they will automatically file a case and send masters to punish him. Yi Xiaoya said. All right. Xiaochen said. You can stay at home in seclusion, but I can't. I have to go out every day. Fortunately, it was Xiaochen's identity and not White Fox's identity. After chatting with Yi Xiaoya, it was almost time. Xiaochen got up and went to see if there was anything he could help Missy. Qing Menjing and Jean Bebe got up early and started packing. Girls going to the seaside was like going on a trip. All kinds of sunscreen, clothes, hats, and mats had to be prepared. The two of them packed a big bag. Xiaochen felt that the big bag could contain both of them. Hey, Xiaochen, you came just in time. Help me carry it. Qing Menjing pointed at the big bag on the ground and said. Oh. With Xiaochen's current strength, it was easy for him to carry the big bag. Xiaochen carried it on his shoulder effortlessly. Yi Xiaoya happened to come downstairs. When she saw Xiaochen doing manual work, she was a little disdainful. Can't some people be more manly? Don't depend on others. Is it fun to serve two young ladies every day? What did you say? Who's a young lady? Qing Menjing glared at Yi Xiaoya and said angrily. Chapter 198. Qing Menjing had almost forgotten about Yi Xiaoya because of the time difference. Today was the weekend. When she saw Yi Xiaoya and thought of the previous conflict, Qing Menjing was full of anger at once. Whoever asks others to carry the bag can do it. If it were me, I would definitely carry it myself. Yi Xiaoya said. You can carry it? Qing Menjing didn't believe that Yi Xiaoya could carry the super big bag in front of her. You will know whether I can carry it or not after trying. Yi Xiaoya just didn't like Qing Menjing. She acted like a rich lady, but she had a good family background, didn't she? Xiaochen had helped her, so she was naturally partial to Xiaochen. She didn't want Xiaochen to be bullied by her every day. Xiaochen, put it down. I will show it to her. Well. Xiaochen was a little helpless. Others might not know, but he knew that Yi Xiaoya's strength. It was a piece of cake for her to carry it. Xiaochen put down the travel bag, but Yi Xiaoya picked it up directly without any difficulty. She even raised it over her head and shook it, as if it were air. Then, she put it down on the ground. What do you say? Ah. Qing Menjing was dumbfounded. She didn't expect that Yi Xiaoya could carry it. Was the bag really not heavy? Qing Menjing tried to pick it up with her hands subconsciously, but she couldn't carry it at all. Cousin Menjing, she has the qualifications to be someone else's personal maid. We can't carry it. She might as well be a rich lady. Jean Bebe said. Qing Menjing's eyes glittered when she heard Jean Bebe's words. Right. She had regarded the word Miss Jiao as an insult to her, but on second thought, it was better to be a rich lady than to be a maid. Yi Xiaoya was destined to be a maid. Therefore, she put her hands on her waist and said proudly, right. You can carry it, so what? It's because you don't have servants, but I do. Yes. Cousin Menjing, I'm just envious, jealous, and hateful. Look, her face is green. Jean Bebe nodded and said. You. Yi Xiaoya glared at Jean Bebe. Every time she had the upper hand in a quarrel with Qing Menjing, she would be killed by Jean Bebe. Let's go. It's time for an outing. Some people don't have the chance to go. They can only play the real-life version of Happy Ranch at home and plant some flowers and plants. Jean Bebe hopped out of the villa. Cheng Menjing followed her. Looking at Yi Xiaoye, whose face had turned from green to black, Xiaochen sighed and shrugged. Then, he went out with the big bag. It was difficult to reason with Jean Bebe. Not to mention that Yi Xiaoye didn't even care about it at all. After they walked out of the villa, they saw that Chao Yuliang and Chen Jinpeng were already there. In the yard of the villa, an Audi Q7 and a minivan were parked. The Audi Q7, on the other hand, was brand new. Its shiny paint was shining brightly under the sun. On the other hand, the minivan beside it had been sold many times over the years. It was extremely tattered, and the paint was peeling off. There was also a dent at the rear, and the license plate was not hung properly. This car. Why is it so shabby? Cheng Menjing pointed at the van in the yard and was stunned. Where did you get it? Well, this is my new car. Chen Jinpeng said in a hurry. I don't have much money recently. So, I borrowed the grocery cart from the restaurant and my family. In fact, even the grocery cart of the Chen family was better than this one. It was a modified RV. The minivan was bought by Chen Jinpeng at a second-hand market for 2,000 yuan. He was truly scared of Jean Bebe's tricks. He drove a luxury car, but he was tricked into buying it. Now that he had changed to a shabby car, Jean Bebe wouldn't be interested in it anymore, would she? Oh, that's great. Put everything in your car. Let's take the Q7. Jing Xian, you and I will take the same car. Cheng Menjing said as she instructed Xiao Chen to put the travel bag in Chen Jinpeng's car. Where's my appearance fee? Xiao Chen placed his travel bag on the van and asked Chen Jinpeng, who had a bitter look on his face. Chen Jinpeng was very upset. Although he could avoid being tricked by Jean Bebe by changing to a shabby car, he could not sit in the same car with Shen Jingxian anymore. However, his car was too shabby, and he could not invite Cheng Menjing to get in. What appearance fee? Didn't I give you the money for the meal? Chen Jinpeng was stunned and said. Didn't you give me the appearance fee for the meal? Today is the appearance fee for the trip. I can buy 2 cars if you give me the money. Xiao Chen stretched out his hand and said. How much do you want this time? Brother Xiao, I'm so poor. Look at my car. It's of such a level. Where can I find the money? Chen Jinpeng complained about being poor. Oh, then I'll go to the morning market to sell fried dough sticks. Tang Tang is waiting for me. Xiao Chen said. No. Wait a minute. Let me see whether Brother Liang has money or not. This time, Chen Jinpeng and Chao Yuliang had planned to kill Xiao Chen. If Xiao Chen did not go, who else could they kill? Chen Jinpeng got out of the car and came to Chao Yuliang. He whispered something in his ear. Then, Chao Yuliang's face changed. He did not expect that Xiao Chen had become so greedy. Why did he want so much money? Previously, Chao Yuliang did not think too much about it. However, now that he thought about it carefully, Xiao Chen kept asking for money, but it was useless. He had food and a place to stay, and Jean Bebe had tricked him into a car. He had everything. Why would he need money? And he was so greedy. Generally, people who desperately wanted money had a purpose. Xiao Chen, who had no purpose, wanted so much money. Chao Yuliang frowned slightly. But after thinking about it, Xiao Chen was going to die today. Why did he need money? Give him 500,000. Chao Yuliang whispered to Chen Jinpeng, you know the password of my card. Transfer it to him. Okay. Chen Jinpeng nodded. He returned to Xiao Chen and said, Brother Xiao, how about 500,000? I won't bargain with you. Let's fix the price. After all, it's 2 days and 1 night. Let's camp at the seaside tonight. Okay. In fact, Xiao Chen had already heard his and Chao Yuliang's whispers. With Xiao Chen's sharp ears, he could definitely hear it. But he was satisfied with 500,000. Including the 2,050,000 he had left, Xiaochen had 2,500,000 in total. Even if he did not make a breakthrough with this medicine, he could make another one with more money. Qin Jinpeng breathed a sigh of relief and transferred the money to Xiaochen. He was trying his best to comfort Xiaochen. As long as Xiaochen arrived at the seaside, it would be beyond his control. Li Shanying had arranged everything. At that time, Xiaochen would be doomed. Xiaochen sat in the passenger seat of the Audi Q7, while Qing Menjing, Jin Beibei, and Shen Jingxian sat in the back row. Qin Jinpeng drove behind them. I used to think that Qiao Yuliang could be my subordinate and drive for me. Now, my wish has finally come true, Xiaochen said after getting in the car. Ha! Qiao Yuliang gave a hollow laugh and thought, I'll let you fulfill your wish before you die. You piece of trash, how can you compare with me? I'm willing to be Qing Menjing's driver. I can do it for the rest of my life. I already have a driver. I don't need you. Qing Menjing snorted and said, my driver must be able to do heavy work. He has to do all the dirty and tiring work. Then I can do it too. Qiao Yuliang said hurriedly, Menjing, you underestimate me. I can do whatever Xiaochen can do. If you let me do it in the future, Xiaochen won't have to do it anymore. He can be more free. That's great. Liangzi, I'll watch you show your power later. My cousin-in-law is quite lazy and doesn't want to work. He won't be willing to be a servant. I don't like lazy people either. Jin Beibei interrupted. Of course. I'm so hard-working. Qiao Yuliang said, feeling good about himself. Xiaochen couldn't help but sneer inwardly. This idiot. You'll cry when I tell you to work later. Seeing that the Miss and Jin Beibei were able to settle a free labor with a few words, Lin Yi was more than happy. I don't want to be your servant. Who would want to work hard without pay? All right, Xiaochen. I want to change my position with you. Qiao Yuliang thought to himself. Xiaochen really didn't know how lucky he was. However, Xiaochen seemed to be having an affair with Jin Beibei right now, and there was nothing between him and Qing Menjing. Therefore, it was normal that he didn't like Qing Menjing. The car left the city quickly. Xiaochen had been taking a nap in the passenger seat, while Qing Menjing, Shen Jingxian, and Jin Beibei were whispering to each other, discussing what to do when they arrived at the seaside. In the beginning, it was naturally on the way. However, when they arrived at the seaside road, there were more cars. It was the weekend, and most of them were tourists who came here for vacation. Self-driving tours were popular nowadays, so the roads were basically jammed. The car moved forward step by step. It was rare for it to move 20 meters smoothly. Xiaochen, something's not right. Elder Heaven Ancestor's voice suddenly sounded next to Xiaochen's ears. Xiaochen immediately became alert and released his divine sense and mental strength. Did Qiao Yuliang choose to take action here? Or did someone else want to take action against him? Of course, while releasing his divine sense, Xiaochen was also secretly observing Qiao Yuliang's movements. If it was Qiao Yuliang's arrangement, there would definitely be something wrong. Although Qiao Yuliang was good at disguising himself and had hidden his strength for so long, there would still be something wrong in this situation. Of course, if one did not pay attention, one would not notice it. However, Xiaochen had been secretly paying attention to Qiao Yuliang. Therefore, he found that Qiao Yuliang had been secretly paying attention to the GPS in the car. Moreover, he had enlarged the map to a very large scale. He seemed to be looking for a location. Is he going to take action somewhere? Seeing Qiao Yuliang's attention, Xiaochen secretly became alert. Soon, Qiao Yuliang's car began to slow down. Originally, he was closely following the car ahead, but now, he had unknowingly pulled more than 10 meters away from the car ahead. Moreover, Qiao Yuliang's car was also very slow. He kept moving forward slowly and leisurely. Chapter 199. After walking for a short distance, Qiao Yuliang stopped the car. Although the car in front of him had stopped, it was still more than 10 meters away from him. It was almost 20 meters away. Xiao Chen's heart trembled. His divine sense immediately locked onto the top of the car, on top of an elevated railway bridge. If one didn't look carefully, most people would ignore this place. However, Xiao Chen saw that on top of the elevated railway bridge, there were a few people doing maintenance work. Of course, Xiao Chen didn't know if they were the real maintenance workers, but Xiao Chen didn't believe that the people doing the maintenance were experts of the third or fourth level of inner strength. Normally, if a martial artist did not deliberately hide their inner strength, they would unconsciously bring out some inner strength when they raised their hands and feet, revealing their strength. However, ordinary people would definitely not be able to detect it. Only other martial artists would be able to sense it. Xiao Chen's divine sense felt that these people seemed to want to use something to attack the car below, which was the car that Xiao Chen was sitting in. If it was an ordinary person, throwing something from such a high altitude would definitely have a deviation. Even if it was falling vertically, it was hard to say where it would hit due to the direction of the wind and other factors. However, martial artists were different. With a martial artist's inner strength, although it couldn't be said to hit where it was pointed, if it was hit vertically, the accuracy could still reach 90%. If it was a person who had practiced, then it wouldn't be strange for them to hit 100%. Are they trying to kill me by throwing something from a high altitude? Xiao Chen realized that after Chao Yuliang failed to hire an assassin, he began to like to create accidents for himself. Is it because of the Jin family's announcement? Thinking about it, it was also possible. If he died accidentally, it had nothing to do with others. Even if the Golden Fur Lion King went crazy, it couldn't blame others. Even if Xiao Chen was a cultivator at the peak of the fourth level of the refinement stage, if he was hit by the Iron Throne from such a high altitude, he would definitely die. He would be directly smashed into a meat patty. Thinking of this, at the moment when the person above was about to throw, Xiao Chen seemed to inadvertently put his hand on the car and directly injected a trace of yuan qi into the car's accelerator pedal. The car, which was originally parked, suddenly moved forward until it passed a parking space before it stopped. Huh? Chao Yuliang was taken aback. You can even drive on flat ground? Qin Jinpeng, who was following behind, did not have a GPS in his car. He had been following Chao Yuliang's car the whole way. When he saw Chao Yuliang driving forward, he naturally followed suit. However, just as he followed, he heard a loud bang and felt the whole car shaking. A huge piece of metal smashed in through the roof and directly hit Qin Jinpeng's passenger seat. The passenger seat was dented and the piece of metal was smashed to the bottom of the car. The car was completely wrecked. F***ck. Qin Jinpeng broke out in a cold sweat. What was going on? Didn't Li Shanning say that he would smash Xiao Chen to death? Why did it hit his car? Luckily, he was driving in a straight line. If he was a little crooked, wouldn't he be smashed to death? Qin Jinpeng quickly pushed the door and got out of the car. In front, Chao Yuliang was shocked when he heard the loud bang. He stopped the car and got out. When he saw Qin Jinpeng's smashed car, his face suddenly turned gloomy. This really smashed Xiao Chen. It almost smashed Qin Jinpeng to death. Chao Yuliang looked up. The people on the railway viaduct had already left. He didn't know where they went. He turned around and looked at Qin Jinpeng. If the car can't be driven, push it to the side of the road. You take the things down and sit in my car. Okay. Qin Jinpeng cursed Li Shanning in his heart for not keeping his word. At the same time, he felt a little aggrieved. Can't I have a car that really belongs to me? Why can't I drive one? If it's not scammed away, it's smashed. Qin Jinpeng went to push the van to the side of the road. With his strength as a martial artist at the peak of the second stage of inner force, it was easy. Although the previous accident seemed quite scary, there were no casualties, so no one stayed to watch the fun. They all bypassed and left. Carrying the bag, Qin Jinpeng walked to the Audi Q7. Chao Yuliang's car was a 5-door, 7-seater model. There were 2 seats in the last row, but the space wasn't that big. It was obviously uncomfortable to sit with the luggage, so Chen Jinpeng didn't want to sit. Xiao Chen, why don't you sit in the back? Chen Jinpeng thought about it and asked Xiao Chen. I'm not going. Xiao Chen directly refused. If you want to go, you go. If you don't want to go, then run with the car. Menjing, do you think the servants should sit in the back? Chao Yuliang also knew that Chen Jinpeng was angry and panicked now. It was indeed not good to let him sit in the back, so he wanted to ask Qing Menjing. The servants don't have to go. Cousin-in-law, why don't you go home? Since this car is so crowded. Jean Bebe said. I'll sit in the back. Chen Jinpeng took a deep breath. He asked Qing Menjing and Shen Jingxian to get out of the car and jump to the back. What a joke. It was not easy to get Xiao Chen here with 500,000 yuan. If Xiao Chen went back, who would be the one to kill? If I don't sit in the back, where should I sit? Liangzi, you can't do it. You don't have any self-awareness. When you were working for me, you never dared to provoke me. How dare you pretend to be awesome now? Xiao Chen patted Chao Yuliang's shoulder and said, besides, your car doesn't seem to work very well. I remember that Jean Bebe's family has a similar car, which also moves forward on its own. Is yours the same? Chao Yuliang's heart suddenly palpitated, and his face almost turned green. No, this car belongs to my family. Oh, do you want to check the vehicle license? Xiao Chen asked. No need. I didn't bring it. Chao Yuliang was so scared that he almost peed his pants. He suddenly realized that the current Xiao Chen was even more troublesome, shameless, and difficult to deal with than the previous Xiao Chen. He had been driven out of the family. Where did he get the confidence to go against me? However, as it happened, Chao Yuliang couldn't do anything about Xiao Chen at all. Chen Jinpeng got in the car and crouched in the back with a lot of travel bags. He couldn't have felt more uncomfortable. Seeing that Xiao Chen was enjoying the air conditioner in the front and taking a rest leisurely, Chen Jinpeng was so cramped that he didn't even have the space to move. He was a little resentful. Xiao Chen was already nothing, yet he was still so cool and awesome. Why was he doing this? His thoughts were similar to Chao Yuliang's. Logically, Xiao Chen should be someone who could be trampled on easily, but he seemed to be even more awesome than before. In the past, Chao Yuliang had dared to go against him. But now, Chao Yuliang almost listened to him. He gave him money and a car as if he was serving a master. Wow. Chen Jinpeng swore in his heart that he would definitely pay back the humiliation Xiao Chen had given him. When Xiao Chen died, he would whip his corpse to vent his hatred. What happened just now? Those workers were too careless. Why didn't we wait for the traffic police to come and sue their company? Shen Jingxian didn't know what had happened. She thought it was really an accident. However, Qing Menjing and Jean Bebe didn't think so. How could there be so many accidents? However, how could Xiao Chen be so lucky to avoid it? If Chao Yuliang's car had moved back a few spaces, the person it would have hit would have been Xiao Chen. Who knows? It's fine if there are no casualties. We can't afford to waste time. Didn't you see those workers run away? I guess they are all temporary workers. It will take a long time to sue their company. We still have to go out and have fun. Chao Yuliang explained. Right. Forget it. Anyway, I only spent 2,000 yuan on the car. I will buy another one when I come back. Chen Jinpeng also said. They didn't dare to tell the truth. There were no more accidents along the way. However, when they arrived at the seaside scenic area, Chao Yuliang didn't stop the car. Instead, he kept driving forward. The further they went, the less people there were. Further ahead was the dangerous water area. There were warning signs on the roadside. The water was deep, and the reefs were deep. Further ahead, there was a bigger warning sign. Dangerous aquatic creatures may appear in the area ahead. Please do not swim. Generally, there would be protective nets at the seaside to prevent large aquatic creatures from swimming over. In the swimming area, there would be several layers of protective nets to prevent sharks from getting in. However, in other areas, especially dangerous ones, the protective nets were not so strict. Many times, it was possible for the protective nets to break down. After all, it was impossible to inspect and repair them every day. They could only check them periodically. I'm told that there are sharks around here. Chow Yuliang pointed at a seaside area not far away and said, the fishing boats and fishing guns have been rented. They should have been delivered, right? Bebe, it seems to be quite dangerous here. Are we really going to stay here? Cheng Menjing was somewhat worried after what had happened earlier. She was afraid that Chow Yuliang would do something against Xiaochen. It's not a problem, is it? We are not going into the sea directly. Jean Bebe got out of the car and walked to the seaside. The sea, you are so King big. Cheng Menjing was speechless. Then she heard Xiaochen say, the sky, you are so King blue. Ha ha ha. Jean Bebe immediately burst into laughter. Only Xiaochen could cooperate with her every day. Chow Yuliang and Chen Jinpeng looked at each other. As they expected, there was something wrong between Xiaochen and Jean Bebe. Both of them were crazy when it came to tricking others. CK, I'll kill you together when I have the chance, you shameless couple. Chen Jinpeng secretly spat. I'll go and ask when the boat rental company will deliver the boat. As Chow Yuliang spoke, he returned to the car and prepared to make a call. In fact, he was calling Li Shanying. Chen Jinpeng understood tacitly. He was afraid that Xiaochen would come to move the things, so he immediately went ahead of him. Okay, I'll go and move the things. After the call went through, Chow Yuliang asked in a low voice, Young Master Shanying, what's going on today? Young Master Chow, why are you asking me? My people are all ready. Why are you driving forward? Li Shanying asked back. Chapter 200. The car suddenly slipped forward. I didn't mean it. Chow Yuliang smiled bitterly. But, Jinpeng's car followed. Why did you make a move? Can you take back the water that has been spilled? Li Shanying said, all right, there is still a plan. The boat will be delivered soon. Just wait. All right, young Master Li. Chow Yuliang hung up the phone and glanced at Chen Jinpeng. It was my mistake today. The car slipped. They didn't have time to react. I see. Chen Jinpeng's heart was filled with resentment. CK, it was better to follow Xiaochen. At least Xiaochen didn't almost kill me. Following you, this mistake almost killed me. However, in comparison, Chen Jinpeng hated Xiaochen more. He could only think about it. Besides, what happened today was also Li Shanying's fault. What kind of lousy plan was that? It was easier to use a sniper rifle than to throw an object from a high altitude. Of course, in many cases, the martial arts families had to abide by the rules of the martial arts families. Although they were strong, they couldn't openly break the rules of the secular world. Living in the secular world, they had to accept the dual management of the Warrior Guild and the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. When they didn't violate the rules, the Warrior Guild might ignore them. However, if they really violated the rules, they would have to bear the consequences. Not to mention that they would send experts to deal with you, even if they blocked your points and account in the Warrior Guild, it would be enough to make you suffer. Which martial arts family could bypass the Warrior Guild and exist alone? Perhaps, the Colorful Li family couldn't, and the Chow family and Chen family in Songning also couldn't. Chen Jinpeng was just fantasizing about it. He could kill Xiaochen, but he couldn't break the rules of the secular world. It's okay. Li Shanying will send the fishing boat in a while. At that time, it will be easier to feed him to the sharks. Chow Yuliang said faintly, don't blame me for what happened today. I want to kill Xiaochen more than you do. I suspect that Xiaochen did something to the car. Hearing Chow Yuliang's explanation, Chen Jinpeng suddenly remembered that his car's license had turned into Jean Bebe. Could it be that Xiaochen really knew some tricks like magic? It was really possible. In this way, Qin Jinpeng didn't have such a big grudge against Chao Yuliang. He had to admit that Chao Yuliang was a scheming person. He pretended to be a playboy and hid his strength for so many years with Xiao Chen's. Qing Menjing pretended to be careless. She walked past Xiao Chen and kicked the sand on the beach. "Ah, there's a shell, it's pricking me to death. Xiao Chen, quickly help me pull it out." Xiao Chen. Okay. Xiao Chen was dazed for a moment and bent down. Right when Xiao Chen bent down, Qing Menjing said in a low voice, "Hey, be careful later. Don't tell me that you don't know who the big iron block that fell was for." "I know, but I'm used to it." "It's okay." Xiao Chen reached out to take off Qing Menjing's sandals indifferently. "That's unnecessary." Qing Menjing withdrew her foot and dodged. She was just making up a random excuse. Men and women should not touch each other. She was not happy to let Xiao Chen touch her foot. Also, seeing that the guy did not care at all and regarded her kindness as malice, she was quite angry. After hanging up the phone and moving the stuff, Chao Yuliang saw the scene not far away. A vague smile flashed on his lips. It seemed that Qing Menjing did not treat Xiao Chen well at all. She was also on guard against him and would not let him take advantage of her. Now, it seemed that if Xiao Chen died, Qing Menjing would not retaliate too much. The only unstable factor was Jean Bebe. It would be great if Jean Bebe died, too. Very soon, Li Shaning's men arrived with 2 fishing boats. Qin Jinpeng pretended to sign a contract. Then, Li Shaning's men left, leaving the fishing boats behind. "Boss Xiao Chen, do you want to go fishing or not?" After Qin Jinpeng rented the fishing boats, he turned around and asked Xiao Chen, who was not far away, "There are 2 fishing boats. Let's each take one, shall we?" "No, you go by yourself. I'm tired." Xiao Chen would not go if there was no benefit in it. Besides, who knew if there was something wrong with the boat? Was it a trick to trap him? Well, Qin Jinpeng was a little confused. He turned around and looked at Chao Yuliang. In the past, Xiao Chen was a man who liked to show off very much. Especially in front of Shen Jingxian, he would rush to go fishing. But now, it was really hard for him to understand. Originally, when Chao Yuliang took Qin Jinpeng as his underling, he wanted to humiliate Xiao Chen. Secondly, because he had followed Xiao Chen for so many years, he thought that Xiao Chen knew Xiao Chen very well. As the saying goes, know yourself and know your enemy, and you will never be defeated. But now it seemed that this idiot did not know Xiao Chen as well as he did. Chao Yuliang gave Qin Jinpeng a look, then pointed in the direction of Shen Jingxian. Qin Jinpeng knew that Chao Yuliang wanted to make Shen Jingxian say a few words, using a honey trap or something, but Qin Jinpeng had his own difficulties. He couldn't order Shen Jingxian at all. She didn't listen to him. If Shen Jingxian could help them to harm Xiao Chen would have been dead long ago. "Boss Xiao Chen, didn't you like to show off in front of Shen Jingxian the most?" Qin Jinpeng couldn't persuade Shen Jingxian. In desperation, he could only run to Xiao Chen's side and whispered, "Think about it. When Shen Jingxian sees your heroic appearance, she might, are you an idiot?" Xiao Chen glanced at Qin Jinpeng. "I found out that you followed Chao Yuliang for a while, and your brain was damaged. You like to be cuckolded, right? Do you mean to make your fiancé like me?" This. Qin Jinpeng was not a smart person. Otherwise, he wouldn't be willing to be a lackey. He thought of this after being reminded by Xiao Chen. Before, he was thinking about Xiao Chen's previous performance and ignored that he had become Shen Jingxuan's fiancé. "Jingxian, Jinpeng wants me to show off my ability to catch fish in front of you. He wants you to see how valiant I look. What do you think?" Before Qin Jinpeng could reply, Xiao Chen turned to look at Shen Jingxian, who was chatting with the young mistress not far away. "Ah." Shen Jingxian was stunned, but when she saw Qin Jinpeng's embarrassed look, she knew that Xiao Chen might not be talking nonsense. She hated Qin Jinping even more, but she quickly figured out the key point. Qiao Yuliang and Qin Jinping had been plotting to kill Xiao Qin. They didn't succeed last time, so they definitely wouldn't let it go. Although she wasn't clear about the plan this time, it seemed to be related to fishing. Otherwise, Qin Jinping wouldn't do this kind of action. It seems that your fiancé is very supportive of me. Then, I will reluctantly go fishing. Xiao Qin said faintly. Qin Jinping wanted to say support my ass, but he didn't dare to say it. If he said it and Xiao Qin didn't go, then he would bear the humiliation for nothing. But, you have to go far away to fish. Where are the sharks near the shore? Why don't you let Qin Jingxian sit on my boat? Otherwise, she won't be able to see my heroic appearance, and I won't have the motivation to fish. Xiao Qin suggested. Qin Jinping cursed in his heart. Let you and Qin Jingxian on the boat? Then, wouldn't I be unable to take off my green hat? Thinking of this, Qin Jinping quickly said, no need, I will also go out to sea. I will drive the boat and pull her, and follow behind you. Okay, do as you wish. Although Xiao Qin said so, he had a question mark in his heart. Earlier, he had asked Qin Jingxian to get on his boat because he wanted another protection. After all, the ocean was not like the continent. If she fell into the ocean, even though Xiao Qin was a cultivator, it would be difficult for him to deal with it. The best protection here was undoubtedly Qin Jingxian. If she went, Qin Jinping and Qiao Yuliang would definitely be against her together with him. As for the eldest lady, Qiao Yuliang had been crazy enough to kill her last time. Only Qin Jingxian of the Qin family could scare Qiao Yuliang. Although the Qin family was not a local family in Songming City, they were certainly not to be messed with. The Qin family was the birthplace of the Qin family, and they were deeply connected to the Warriors Guild. It was impossible for Qiao Yuliang to be reckless. Before, Xiao Qin had thought that Qiao Yuliang and Qin Jinping would play tricks on the boat, but it did not seem to be the case. Qin Jinping was going to go to sea with them, too. Was there something wrong with only one boat? Seeing that Xiao Qin was going to go fishing for Qin Jingxian, Qing Menjing was more than infuriated. Why were you never so agile when I asked you to do anything? Qin Jingxian asked you to go fishing because of your valiant appearance? How infuriating. She did not know if he was really stupid or just pretending to be stupid. I already told him that there might be danger, but he was still fooled because he was obsessed with Qin Jingxian and ignored my advice. Qing Menjing did not think that Qin Jingxian was bad, but she was Xiao Qian's fiancée. Then, shall we go to sea now? Qin Jinping wanted to end the battle quickly. Brother Liang will start the fire by the shore. Oh, okay. Xiao Qin nodded indifferently. Qiao Yuliang originally wanted to go to sea with Qin Jinping, but the fishing boat was a small one, and there was only space for 2 people on it, so he could only start the fire by the shore. In fact, starting a fire was not an easy job, especially when traveling. They would buy high-density compressed charcoal, which was very difficult to ignite. Even martial artists could not do it well and could only blow on it while lighting it. However, Qiao Yuliang had boasted that he could do anything. Moreover, how could he let Xiao Qin do it? Then how could he kill him? Hey, Bebe, Xiao Qin is too unreliable. He can't risk his life for Qin Jingxian, can he? Qing Menjing complained to Jean Bebe unhappily. Oh, cousin Menjing is jealous. Jean Bebe said with a smile. Why are you not nervous? Not angry? Don't you like him? Qing Menjing was a little curious about Jean Bebe's attitude. It was impossible for her not to see through Qiao Yuliang's scheme. Don't worry. Brother-in-law is a transformer. It's fine. Jean Bebe, on the other hand, believed in Xiao Qin. In her opinion, Xiao Qin only agreed to go fishing because he was confident. Besides, he is fishing for me. Why should I be angry? Chapter 201. Qing Menjing couldn't understand Jean Bebe's logic. Where did she get her confidence from? He's obviously trying to please Qin Jingxian. He's fishing for Bebe. Cousin-in-law is the best to Bebe. Shen Jingxian is just an excuse. Jean Bebe said. You're really confident. Qing Menjing shook her head, feeling a little dissatisfied. This Xiao Chen is good to Shen Jingxian, Jean Bebe, Tang Tang, and Kerlin, but not me. Although Shen Jingxian wasn't willing to go out to sea with Chen Jinpeng, she was also a little worried about Xiao Chen. She really wanted to persuade Xiao Chen not to do so, but Chen Jinpeng was next to him. She couldn't say anything, so she could only follow and see if there was anything she could help with. Boss Xiao Chen, which boat do you want? Chen Jinpeng pointed at the two fishing boats on the beach and asked. Oh, I want this one. Xiao Chen pointed at one of the boats and said. Okay. Chen Jinpeng nodded and was about to go to the other boat. Wait, I still want this one. This one's number is cooler, 18. It's going to be rich. The previous one was 13. Doesn't it mean it's going to flip? It's inauspicious. Xiao Chen changed to the other boat. Oh, that's fine too. Chen Jinpeng didn't care so much. In his opinion, Xiao Chen couldn't escape the fate of flipping over no matter which boat he chose. However, Xiao Chen was surprised. It seemed that Chen Jinpeng and Chao Yuliang didn't do anything to the fishing boat. Xiao Chen changed boats temporarily to test whether there was a problem with one of the boats. But in the end, there shouldn't be any problems. With Chen Jinpeng scheming, it was impossible for him to not reveal anything. If it had been Chao Yuliang, Xiao Chen wouldn't have been so sure, but how could he not know what kind of person Chen Jinpeng was? After following him for so long, how could he not know? He was completely a villain with no shrewdness. Xiao Chen boarded the fishing boat 18 and adjusted the machine. This fishing boat was not much different from the previous speedboat. Xiao Chen also joined a yacht club before, so he was naturally familiar with it. However, this kind of small fishing boat was still very dangerous when going into the sea. It was fine if it encountered a shark, but if it encountered a group of sharks, it would definitely die because this boat was too small to withstand the attack. Duck, duck, duck. The sound of the motor sounded, and Xiao Chen drove the fishing boat into the sea. Chen Jinpeng also carried Shen Jingxian and followed Xiao Chen into the sea. Humph. Qing Menjing snorted coldly. It's okay. Cousin-in-law can handle it. Jean Bebe said indifferently. Since she discovered a lot of shocking things, she had full confidence in Xiao Chen. If he dies, who will cook for us? Qing Menjing was a little absent-minded. On the surface, Chao Yuliang was trying to make a fire, but he was secretly observing Xiao Chen and Chen Jinpeng. Seeing that they had successfully entered the sea, a smile flashed across his mouth. Although there might be sharks in the nearby sea, it was not certain that there would be. After all, even if there was a hole in the protective net, a shark would have to be able to get in before the patrolling people found it. Otherwise, the shark would definitely be searched and driven back. Xiao Chen drove the fishing boat into the sea and wandered aimlessly. Although he had not used a fishing gun, the principle of this thing was relatively simple. He just needed to shoot at sharks. With Xiao Chen's current strength, he could easily control it. Moreover, Xiao Chen's six senses were powerful, so his accuracy was not worse than those professional fishermen. Chen Jinpeng leisurely followed behind Xiao Chen. His purpose was not to catch sharks, but to witness Xiao Chen's death. He did not know if the people arranged by Li Shanning had arrived yet. Although Xiao Chen was going to die, Chen Jinpeng could not help but belittle him. Jingxian, look at Xiao Chen. He likes to show off. I guess he has never touched a fishing gun before. Now that you want to see it, he shows off. This kind of person is really unreliable. Don't say that about Xiao Chen. Who doesn't have a young and aggressive time? Although Shen Jingxian said so, she was very puzzled. That night, when Xiao Chen sent her home, his words and actions did not show any desire for her. So, how could Xiao Chen show off in front of her to fish? It was completely unrealistic. Could it be that Xiao Chen deliberately pretended before to attract her attention, and when he realized that he failed to attract her attention, he started to attract her attention again? Shen Jingxian felt that Xiao Chen should not be so bored. If Shen Jingxian did not have that night's contact, she might think so. But now, Shen Jingxian felt that Xiao Chen did things with a purpose. He would not do things that did not benefit him, and it was impossible for him to take risks for a girl. But Chen Jinpeng wanted to say that it was not worth it to lose his life because of a young and aggressive time, but he stopped in time. If Shen Jingxian knew the truth, it would be a big deal. She was not one of them, so she could not tell Qing Menjing. Just as they were talking, Chen Jinpeng heard the sound of a motor in the distance. He turned his head and couldn't help but be happy. 2 yachts were speeding in this direction. These 2 yachts were driven by Li Shanning and Lin Chao. Not only was Lin Chao good at racing, but he was also good at racing. Li Shanning was a martial artist, so he could drive a yacht. But in today's plan, he was only an assistant, and Lin Chao was the executor. These 2 yachts were modified. They were very sturdy, especially the bow. The balancing ability was also modified. This was a yacht used in the underground racing black market to participate in the underground competition. If it was not sturdy, it would not be able to participate at all. It would have been smashed by others. Both of them were wearing large sunglasses, so from the appearance, they would not be recognized. Moreover, Xiao Chen and Shen Jingxian had not seen Lin Chao and Li Shanning, so they would not suspect their origin. "Hey, buddy, let's have a match." Lin Chao shouted to Xiao Chen from afar. Xiao Chen glanced at the yacht that Lin Chao and Li Shanning were driving over. He could not help but frown. Where did these 2 people come from? What are they doing here? This was a dangerous area nearby. Xiao Chen did not believe that these 2 people did not know. Wasn't it crazy to drive the yacht so far? Not interested. Xiao Chen said faintly. F***ck, you guys are quite arrogant, huh? Lin Chao spat out a swear word sarcastically. Why? Are you looking down on your brother? There is also a little girl here. She is quite pretty. Li Shanning also came over at this time and said, "Let's have a match. Win 100,000 yuan, or the little girl can stay." The little girl was naturally Shen Jingxian. Chen Jinpeng also had the mentality of watching a show at this time. He pretended to be angry and said to Xiao Chen, "Boss Xiao Chen, let's have a match with them." F***ck, how dare they make fun of your goddess? Isn't that your fiancée? Did you give her to me? Xiao Chen glanced at Chen Jinpeng and understood in his heart. These 2 people were most likely sent by Chao Yuliang and Chen Jinpeng to deal with him. They threw him into the water in this sea in the middle of nowhere. With his previous strength, even if the sharks did not come, there was absolutely no possibility of survival. F***ck, what's wrong? Are you ignoring me? Lin Chao saw that Xiao Chen did not pay attention to him, and suddenly became angry. He came to cause trouble. Of course, he would not let go of this opportunity to cause trouble. He circled the yacht around Xiao Chen's fishing boat and then scolded, "One sentence, do you want to compete?" Xiao Chen knew that whether he competed or not, the other party would play tricks. It was meaningless. It was better not to compete. He wanted to see what tricks the other party could play, so he said lightly, "I am catching sharks. I don't have time to care about you. If you are willing to compete, look, that guy is more excited than me. Go to him." Xiao Chen pointed in the direction of Chen Jinpeng and said, "Quite arrogant, huh? You don't want to compete, right?" Lin Chao started the yacht and directly crashed in the direction of Xiao Chen. Although Xiao Chen did not know how to race an underground boat, it was the same as driving. Xiao Chen was already familiar with the operation of the fishing boat. He could do some very precise control, but he was not willing to show it before. Now that Lin Chao rushed over, Xiao Chen instantly calculated the distance and time. He directly turned the bow and dodged it easily. Lin Chao was slightly stunned. He did not expect that not only did Xiao Chen know how to race, but he also drove the yacht very well. This was a bit rare. Generally, these young masters played with cars. Those who played with yachts only knew how to drive. They did not have the movements and reactions of these underground racing boats. However, Xiao Chen's reaction was very fast, which surprised Lin Chao a little. However, he was not worried. Racing in the sea was different from racing on land. Their yacht was professionally modified. Whether it was speed or flexibility, it was higher than Xiao Chen's. If they really competed, he and Li Shanning attacked Xiao Chen from the front and back. No matter how good Xiao Chen was, he could not escape. The yacht's performance was there. You could not surpass it no matter what. Tuck tuck tuck. Lin Chao swung the tail and changed the direction of the yacht. He rushed towards Xiao Chen again. Xiao Chen still avoided it easily. At this moment, Lin Chao was really angry. He no longer played with Xiao Chen. He crashed towards Xiao Chen horizontally. Xiao Chen could easily avoid it, but if he chased from behind vertically, it would be difficult for Xiao Chen to avoid it. You really have some skills? Li Shanning also started the yacht at this time and chased after Xiao Chen. Seeing this situation, Xiao Chen immediately cried out inwardly. When he was racing, his car was professionally modified. It was not a problem for him to win against Li Shantao. However, in the sea, this fishing boat was not as nimble. Its speed was also slow. He could barely avoid a person chasing after him, but if two people attacked at the same time, he would not be able to handle it. It was not realistic to simply rely on technology to avoid because the opponent's technology was not bad. The yacht was obviously several times better than Xiao Chen's fishing boat. What should I do? Xiao Chen's mind raced. Previously, he was thinking that Chao Yuliang had done something to the yacht, but he didn't expect that he would get two people to attack him. Chapter 202. This is Xiao Chen, a descendant of the Xiao family in Songning. I am Qin Jinpeng, a descendant of the Qin family in Songning. How dare you all be so arrogant here? Qin Jinpeng must reveal his identity at the right time so that it would seem that he didn't know these people, and it was also to help Xiao Chen. Otherwise, he wouldn't be the only one here. Shen Jingxian was also watching. If Shen Jingxian went back and talked nonsense, then Qin Jinpeng would be in trouble. But now, it wasn't that Qin Jinpeng didn't care, but he did care. As for whether the other party believed it or not, it wasn't something that Qin Jinpeng could control. It had to be said that at the critical moment, Qin Jinpeng was still very cunning. Even he himself admired his wit a little. Songning Xiao family? Qin family? I haven't heard of it. Lao Heir, have you heard of it? Li Shanning turned to look at Lin Chao. No, who knows what kind of small family in a bumpkin place. It has nothing to do with our Golden Bell sect. Lin Chao said. Golden Bell sect? Xiao Chen was slightly stunned. What kind of place is that? It sounds like a sect. Could it be that these two people have some kind of background? However, Xiao Chen didn't quite believe it. Could Chao Yuliang invite people with some kind of background? I don't care if you are from the Golden Bell sect or the Silver Bell sect. I am a martial artist at the peak of the second stage of inner force. I order you to stop attacking Boss Xiao Chen immediately. Otherwise, I won't be polite. Qin Jinpeng shouted. Idiot. Lin Chao scolded disdainfully and continued to charge at Xiao Chen. Li Shanning also came to help. The two people didn't seem to care about the identity of the Xiao family and the Qin family at all. What should we do, Jingxian? These two aren't afraid, but they seem to be fighting with Boss Xiao Chen. Qin Jinpeng said to Shen Jingxian with a bitter face in order to make it more realistic. Little did he know that he was too clever for his own good. Shen Jingxian knew that Qin Jinpeng plotted to kill Xiao Chen last time, so he should be happy that these people targeted Xiao Chen. How could he still have this expression? Therefore, Shen Jingxian had some doubts about the purpose of these two people. Could it be that they were also invited by Chao Yuliang and Qin Jinpeng? However, even if Shen Jingxian guessed, she didn't have any evidence. At this moment, she couldn't help Xiao Chen. She could only worry secretly. She took out her phone and wanted to inform Qing Menjing to send someone over. However, she found that there was no signal at all. It was a blind spot. Shark. Xiao Chen had been looking for the shark for a long time, but the shark didn't appear. He didn't expect that the shark would appear by itself. However, it was hard to say if the shark really appeared on its own or if the two of them had brought it here. It was obvious that the two of them wanted to overturn his boat and make him fall into the sea. Since the shark had coincidentally appeared, Xiao Chen could not help but be suspicious. Elder Heaven Ancestor, what should I do now? Xiao Chen asked in a hurry. He had never encountered this kind of situation before. This was different from the fight on the land. If he was not careful, he would fall into the sea. What should I do? What else can I do? Fall into the sea and kill the shark, then swim back. Elder Heaven Ancestor said indifferently. Shark? Kill it? Xiao Chen was slightly dazed. With your strength at the peak of level 4 of Qi refining stage, you still can't kill a shark. You are too weak. Elder Heaven Ancestor said. How can I kill it? Even a level 5 inner strength martial artist might not be able to kill it, right? Xiao Chen smiled bitterly. I can't affect the will of a high-level martial artist, but isn't it easy to affect a shark with no IQ? Elder Heaven Ancestor said indifferently, if I make it motionless, can you kill it? This. I can definitely. Xiao Chen was a bit speechless. Don't mention a shark, even if there was a more ferocious beast there and made it motionless, Xiao Chen would still be able to kill it easily. At most, he would just have to hit it a few more times. Then that's it. Elder Heaven Ancestor said, what are you worried about? I'm worried. I might not be able to swim. Xiao Chen said. You can hold your breath for an hour and you won't die. After you improved your 6 senses in level 2 of Qi refining stage, you can hold your breath for an hour. Elder Heaven Ancestor said with some disappointment, besides, sharks have low IQ. Are you also low IQ? What is your yuan qi used for? Don't you know that it can be converted into oxygen? Yes, it can be converted. Xiao Chen was shocked, but he smiled bitterly. I've only been cultivating for less than a month. Give me some time to adapt. So, you might as well kill that Qin brat by throwing him into the sea. Elder Heaven Ancestor said, his brother died in a car accident. I think it's a good idea to let him die in a boat accident. Xiao Chen didn't expect Elder Heaven Ancestor to be so black-bellied. In fact, he didn't know that Elder Heaven Ancestor was also a ruthless person who killed people without blinking an eye. However, Elder Heaven Ancestor's suggestion was good, but Xiao Chen was a bit worried. What about Xinjingxian? Isn't that your goddess? Don't say she isn't, I can read your memory. Elder Heaven Ancestor directly blocked Xiao Chen's possibility of replying. Don't you know how to be a hero and save the damsel in distress? Then take her to a small island and take her down. And that Qin brat wore a green hat before he died, so he won't have to worry about not having a green hat anymore. Pfft. Xiao Chen realized that Elder Heaven Ancestor was quite sarcastic. Of course, although Xiao Chen wasn't as wretched as Elder Heaven Ancestor, he didn't plan to let Qin Jinpeng go. He couldn't hold on for long. Although he dodged here and there with his powerful boat skills, Xiao Chen knew that he couldn't hold on for long. This wasn't something that could be done with human strength. Although he could set up illusions, the location of the illusions was fixed. When the motorboat sailed past the location of the illusions, there wouldn't be any more illusions. Xiao Chen couldn't keep setting them up. It wouldn't take long for his vitality to be exhausted. The sea was completely different from land. Even if they rushed into the illusions, they would at most cause a temporary loss, but there wouldn't be any danger to their lives. Damn! There's a shark. Qin Jinpeng didn't expect that there would really be a shark in the sea, and he was shocked. He was simply here to join in the fun. At this time, Li Shaoning and Lin Chao were besieging Xiao Chen. If he went to catch the shark now, it would be equivalent to looking for death. Li Shaoning and Lin Chao didn't care about Qin Jinping's words, but Xiao Chen heard it. A sneer flashed across the corner of his mouth. He had already made a plan in his heart. The shark was obviously very hungry. It couldn't get out of this area of the sea, and it couldn't find the entrance that it came from. However, there wasn't anything that it could eat in the coastal waters, so it was very hungry. Coincidentally, this shark belonged to the group that had some intelligence. When it saw the small boat drifting on the sea, it swam towards the small boat, wanting to overturn the yacht. Qin Jinping was shocked. The other people's yachts were moving, but only his was parked in the middle of the sea, so it naturally became the shark's first target. Therefore, Qin Jinping quickly started the yacht. He didn't dare to go head-on with the shark, but he didn't dare to drive too fast. He could only move slowly to avoid the shark. He was afraid that if he drove too fast, it would affect Lin Chao and Li Shanying's plan to collide with Xiao Chen. Jinping, tell them that the shark is here, so stop fooling around. Otherwise, if the boat overturns, no one will benefit. Shen Jingxian said to Qin Jinping. Ah. Oh. Qin Jinping responded, but he didn't have time to care about Xiao Chen's matter. He was afraid that he would be knocked into the sea, and that would be F***ked. However, what made Qin Jinping a little surprised was that Xiao Chen suddenly changed the direction of the fishing boat and rushed towards Qin Jinping. Qin Jinping was shocked and quickly dodged. He cursed in his heart. This Xiao Chen, he doesn't want to live anymore, but he still wants to implicate me. What AF *King D *CK? Just as he was about to dodge, he suddenly realized that the direction he was dodging was the direction of the shark that was about to attack him. This made him almost pee in his pants. Just as Qin Jinping didn't know what to do, Xiao Chen's yacht suddenly changed direction and went around him. It was just like drifting in a race car. It was very rare to be able to do this. After all, only professional rowers could do it. In the water, it wasn't like on land. The yacht was harder to control than a car. Phew. Qin Jinping breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed that with the goddess Shen Jingxian on the boat, Xiao Chen still had to be careful. However, just as Qin Jinping breathed a sigh of relief, he was screwed. Lin Chao was a professional rower, so Xiao Chen went around Qin Jinping, and he also went around Qin Jinping. However, Li Shanying, who was running neck and neck with him, wasn't so lucky. On his left was Lin Chao. He subconsciously wanted to dodge to the right, but he found that there was a shark in front of him. He quickly turned the rudder, but it was too late. So, with a loud bang, his yacht directly hit Qin Jinping's fishing boat. Li Shanying's yacht was specially modified with the purpose of killing Xiao Chen. As a result, it hit Qin Jinping's side. Qin Jinping's fishing boat was the same as Xiao Chen's. It wasn't very sturdy, so the result was a tragedy. Qin Jinping's yacht was directly hit and sent flying. After it fell into the water, it flipped over. At the same time, Xiao Chen slowed down to avoid Qin Jinping. So, after Lin Chao caught up, he directly hit Xiao Chen's yacht and sent it flying. Splash. Xiao Chen also fell into the water. Ah, Shen Jingxian screamed. She didn't know how to swim, so she struggled a few times in the sea and was about to sink. Although Qin Jinping knew how to swim, he panicked at this time. When he remembered to save Shen Jingxian, the two of them were already very far away. So, he watched as Shen Jingxian sank into the sea. As for Xiao Chen, although he could float to the surface of the water, he didn't do so. If he fell into the water, he would directly sink. He was afraid that if he surfaced, Lin Chao would hit him again. He would be depressed. When flesh and blood collided with a yacht, it was inevitable that he would be injured. Even if Xiao Chen could recover quickly, he was in the sea. If Qin Jinping took the opportunity to shoot him with a fishing rod, it would be a tragedy. If Qin Jinping died, then so be it. It had nothing to do with Xiao Chen, but Shen Jingxian was innocent. Thinking of this, Xiao Chen quickly swam in the direction where Shen Jingxian fell into the water. Chapter 203. Save me, there are sharks. There are sharks. Although Chen Jinpeng could swim, the key problem was that there were sharks in the sea. Li Shanning frowned. To be honest, if Chen Jinpeng died together, it didn't have much to do with him. But when he thought of Chow Yuliang, he also drove the motorboat to Chen Jinpeng's side and said, "Climb up yourself." Okay. Chen Jinpeng was a martial artist at the peak of the second stage of internal force. It was easy for him to jump onto the yacht from the sea. He quickly got on the boat and shivered. He suddenly thought of Shen Jingxian and quickly said, "Young Master Li, save Jingxian. She is my fiancée." Save her? Looking at her appearance just now, she obviously doesn't know, right? What if we save her? We obviously wanted to kill you, and now we save you. Do you think she won't suspect anything? Li Shanning said faintly. Ah. Chen Jinpeng's expression was stagnant. Li Shanning was telling the truth, but he couldn't bear to part with Shen Jingxian. Shen Jingxian was Xiao Chen's goddess. Wasn't she his goddess? Chen Jinpeng now had a beauty in his arms. He didn't want to die without even holding her hand. I promise that she won't say anything. Save her. Young Master Li. Chen Jinpeng quickly promised. It's too late. She has sunk to the bottom. There are sharks nearby. Who dares to save her? Do you go alone? Li Shanning asked. This. Chen Jinpeng was stunned. Yes, Shen Jingxian has sunk. How can I save her? Unless I go into the water, but there are sharks in the water. Who dares to go down? Thinking of this, Chen Jinpeng was helpless, but he could only give up. Well, let's go. Get out of here, there are sharks. Actually, even without Chen Jinpeng's reminder, Li Shanning and Lin Chao had already decided to return. Although their clothes were sturdy and had been professionally modified, it was still unknown who would emerge victorious in a head-on clash with a shark. Therefore, the two yachts disappeared without a trace. Under the water, Xiao Chen opened his eyes. His keen sixth senses did not affect his eyesight underwater at all. He could easily see everything around him clearly underwater. This was the super ability brought about by the second layer of the cultivator stage. He saw Shen Jingxian not far away and found that Shen Jingshuan's face had turned red. He was shocked and quickly swam over. When Xiao Chen swam to Shen Jingshuan's side, Shen Jingxian could not hold on anymore. Fortunately, she had trained since she was young. Although she could not swim, she could at least hold her breath. She thought that Chen Jinpeng would come to save her because she had specially looked at Chen Jinpeng's information before. This fiancé of hers was once an elite member of the school's swimming team. It should not be a problem for him to save her. However, after waiting for a long time until she was about to see stars, Chen Jinpeng did not come. Shen Jingxian also understood that Chen Jinpeng had probably given up on her. Of course, other than being a little disappointed, Shen Jingxian did not feel much sadness. She did not have any feelings for Chen Jinpeng, so she did not have the hatred of being abandoned by her lover. She was just laughing at herself. This was the marriage between aristocratic families. In the face of disaster, they would go their separate ways. Am I going to die? Shen Jingshuan's mind began to become blank because of the lack of oxygen. She had some regrets. In her short life, every day she lived under the arrangement of her family. She never had anything for herself. Suddenly, Shen Jingxian thought of the first time she lied. That was because of Xiao Chen. That night, Xiao Chen sent her home. Thinking of Xiao Chen, Shen Jingshuan's heart suddenly had a touch of the same feeling. This person is really unfathomable. Shen Jingxian had always thought that Xiao Chen was a playboy like Chow Yuliang. But looking at it now, it did not seem to be the case. He seemed to be obsessed with her to the point of being unable to extricate himself, but he seemed to be able to ignore her to the point of turning a blind eye. What a strange person. Shen Jingxian thought that if she could live again, she would definitely investigate Xiao Chen. What a strange guy. However, the moment she fell into the water, she saw that Xiao Chen was also knocked into the water. Perhaps she could still meet him in the underworld? It was not lonely on the bridge of helplessness. Shen Jingxian was thinking about some messy things in a daze when a pair of strong big hands suddenly hugged her. Then, she bumped into a not considered wide but very strong arm. Shen Jingxian instinctively leaned over, and her four limbs suddenly grabbed Xiao Chen. In fact, this was the survival will of the person who fell into the water. At this time, if there was something that could be grabbed, she would definitely grab it. Many people were like this. Why did many people who were good at swimming die when they tried to save people who fell into the water? It was because the person who fell into the water directly grabbed him and wrapped him tightly like an octopus, making people who could swim unable to use their skills. Xiao Chen was fine. He could hold his breath underwater, but Shen Jingxian couldn't. Seeing that Shen Jingxian was about to die, Xiao Chen gritted his teeth and didn't care so much. He quickly used his vital energy to transform a mouthful of air, and then directly kissed Shen Jingxuan's lips. In a daze, Shen Jingxian felt as if someone was kissing her. She subconsciously wanted to break free, but then a mouthful of air was sent into her mouth, which made Shen Jingxian suck greedily. The will to survive was greater than everything. This was all out of instinct, but when a few breaths entered her lungs, the stuffiness in her chest suddenly decreased a lot. After a few more breaths, Shen Jingxian gradually returned to normal. His brain was also starting to shine brightly. Shen Jingxian opened her eyes subconsciously. Although it was very uncomfortable to open her eyes underwater, she could only open them and close them immediately. But she still saw who the person in front of her was. Xiao Chen. It was actually Xiao Chen. The shock in Shen Jingxuan's heart was more than the surprise of being saved. She never thought that the person who came to save her was actually Xiao Chen. Moreover, why was there so much air in Xiao Chen's mouth? However, Shen Jingxian wanted to ask, but she didn't dare to speak. Firstly, her mouth was blocked by Xiao Chen's. Secondly, how could she speak underwater? Wouldn't she choke on water? So she could only blink her eyes in confusion. If it was in the past, when Xiao Chen kissed the goddess of his dreams, Shen Jingxian, he would definitely be very excited. But now, Xiao Chen didn't have the mood to fantasize, because the shark was here. The shark was shocked when Li Shanying and Lin Chao's yacht collided with it. The loud noise and the waves made it temporarily hide far away, so it didn't see Xiao Chen and Shen Jingxian. But now that the sea had calmed down, the shark discovered Shen Jingxian and Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen quickly hugged Shen Jingxian and changed her position so that her back wasn't facing the shark. However, Shen Jingxuan's whole body was hanging on Xiao Chen's body. When Xiao Chen reached out, he inevitably held onto Shen Jingxuan's buttocks. Shen Jingxian suddenly blushed. She opened her eyes to see what Xiao Chen wanted to do, but when she opened her eyes, she saw the shark and was shocked. And she also understood that Xiao Chen didn't want to take advantage of her, but something more dangerous was coming. Xiao Chen transferred air to Shen Jingxian and said to Elder Heaven Ancestor, "Elder Heaven Ancestor, help me control the shark. I'll kill it." "Oh, okay," Elder Heaven Ancestor said calmly. Sure enough, the shark's eyes were dazed, and it foolishly stopped moving, motionless. Xiao Chen hugged Shen Jingxian with one hand and swung his other hand into a fist. He directly exploded with the strength of the peak of Qi refining stage level 4, which was equivalent to a level 5 inner force martial artist. Boom! The fist hit the shark's face. However, with Xiao Chen's current strength, it was impossible to kill the shark with one punch, so he simply punched continuously. He didn't believe that he couldn't kill the shark. Xiao Chen's explosive strength was equivalent to the strength of a level 5 inner force martial artist, and it immediately attracted Shen Jingxuan's attention. Although she wasn't even a level 1 inner force martial artist, she was like Qing Menjing. Since young, she had heard about the martial artists' levels. When she realized that this was the explosive strength of Xiao Chen, she was a little surprised. Xiao Chen. Wasn't he a waste? Wasn't he unable to cultivate inner force? How could he have such high strength? Among the younger generation of Songming City, He should be the top existence, right? Such a young genius, did the Qing family not want him? Even the Shao family was chased out by him? Shen Jingxian felt that it was really unbelievable. Wasn't this too amazing? Moreover, the shark just let Shao Chen hit it without moving. This kind of creature, which was like the king of the sea, was actually bullied by Shao Chen. How was this possible? This was already beyond Shen Jingxuan's understanding. Could it be? The shark was stunned by Shao Chen, so it didn't move? Thinking about it, this was the only possibility. However, it was Shen Jingxuan's first time hearing and seeing a martial artist who dared to fight a shark with his bare hands underwater. Alright, Shao Chen, the shark is already dead, stop fighting. Elder Heaven Ancestor reminded. Oh. How did you know? Shao Chen was afraid that the shark was not dead. I can't feel it anymore, and I can't control its will. If it's not dead, then what is? Elder Heaven Ancestor asked. Alright, let's go, you have consumed a lot of your true qi. If you want to die here, then I don't care. Ah. Shao Chen was suddenly shocked, and then remembered that before Shen Jingxian had transformed the air, and then he struggled to beat the shark, and Elder Heaven Ancestor had used up a lot of his true qi to control the shark. There really wasn't much left. Thinking of this, Shao Chen quickly grabbed the shark with one hand, and the other hand carried Shen Jingxian, ready to leave here quickly. Where are you going? Elder Heaven Ancestor suddenly asked. Going back to the shore, of course. Shao Chen said. You can't go back, it's too far. There is an isolated island in front of you on the left. I suggest you go there first to rest and replenish your true qi, otherwise, you will definitely die in the sea. Elder Heaven Ancestor immediately reminded Shao Chen. Chapter 204. Ah. Shao Chen was stunned. I can't go back. How far is that isolated island? Not far. You just have to swim 45 degrees to the left and you will reach it. Elder Heaven Ancestor said. How do you know? Shao Chen didn't see any isolated island when he was driving the yacht. Oh, I just used your divine sense and spiritual power to explore it. I used up all your primordial qi. Otherwise, you could still swim back. Elder Heaven Ancestor said. Pfft. Shao Chen was speechless. Did the Elder Heaven Ancestor do it on purpose? If there was no isolated island, wouldn't I be dead? You won't die. You can practice underwater, but your goddess is in danger. Elder Heaven Ancestor said, of course, she has nothing to do with me. Shao Chen smiled bitterly. Then, he started to swim to the right at a 45-degree angle. Since it was already like this, what else could he say? It was the first time that Shen Jingxian was so intimate with a boy. Not only was she being hugged, but the key was, their lips were tightly pressed together. Although it was similar to artificial respiration, and it was a life-saving move, Shen Jingxian still had a strange feeling in her heart. She couldn't see Shao Chen clearly. She couldn't believe that the person in front of her was Shao Chen. Could it be that Shao Chen had always been so powerful, and he was just hiding his strength before? Other than that, Shen Jingxian really couldn't think of any other possibilities. Shao Chen's level 5 inner force couldn't be practiced overnight. He must have been through strict training and hard work since he was young. However, the Shao clan shouldn't be in the dark about this. What was going on? Could it be that the Qing family and the Shao family actually knew, but they saw that Shao Chen and Qing Menjing didn't see eye to eye, so they deliberately played such a show? The purpose was to let Shao Chen, the servant, have more contact with Qing Menjing and cultivate feelings? Then, was he the culprit behind all of this? If Shao Chen didn't like me, he wouldn't have done this. He would have been with Qing Menjing. But I am so intimate with him now. In the future, how can I face Qing Menjing? Shao Chen estimated that Qin Jinpeng and the others would not come back, so he popped his head out of the sea. To be honest, the continuous air conversion for Shen Jingxian consumed a lot of yuan qi. Xiao Chen didn't want to exhaust his yuan qi before he swam to the island. Elder Heaven Ancestor could ignore Shen Jingxian, but Xiao Chen couldn't. Xiao Chen was the first girl who made him very interested and fascinated. Although Xiao Chen never thought that he could get intimate with her one day, he did it now. However, Xiao Chen wouldn't put both of them in danger because of greed. In the face of life and death, he was still a reasonable person. Xiao Chen floated to the surface of the water and observed his surroundings. He heaved a sigh of relief when he discovered that there was indeed no danger. However, as for the fishing boat, it had disappeared without a trace. Even if it didn't disappear, it couldn't be used anymore. It had been smashed. After the investigation, Xiao Chen suddenly remembered that his lips were still touching Shen Jingxuan's lips. He awkwardly leaned back and separated from Shen Jingxian. Shen Jingxian was shocked. She suddenly remembered that they were already out of the water, but she didn't take the initiative to move her lips away. This made her blush, and she was very embarrassed. Just now when they were underwater, she had no choice. She needed air to breathe. But now that they were out of the sea, she was still like this. Do I like this feeling? It seems. The feeling just now was really good. Shen Jingxian shook her head. What am I thinking about? I have already let Qing Menjing down. Why am I still thinking about these things? Shen Jingxian firmly believed that Xiao Chen was driven out of the family to become Qing Menjing's servant. It was a trap set up by the Xiao family and the Qing family. The purpose was to make it easier for Xiao Chen to get close to Qing Menjing. Because there was a very popular TV series, Campus Belle's Bodyguard, recently, there was a similar plot, so Shen Jingxian naturally thought of this. However, she neglected that this was her first kiss, and it was gone just like that. I'm sorry, Goddess Jingxian. I had no choice just now. I was also trying to save you. Xiao Chen saw that Shen Jingxuan's eyes were a little dazed. He thought that she was going to cry or go crazy, so he quickly explained. Oh. Shen Jingxian listened to Xiao Chen's explanation, but she didn't blame him. She just looked at him with some reproach. I know, but it's not good for us to do this. We are going to die. What's there to not be good for? Xiao Chen grinned, and Shen Jinpeng was willing to be a cuckold. That was what he said himself. Ugh. I hate him. I didn't marry him. Shen Jingxian shook her head. Why is there so much air in your mouth? Oh, I have practiced. Xiao Chen said, you don't know how much pressure it is to be a useless young master. I have been worried about being assassinated since I was young, so I have to practice all kinds of survival skills. If a martial artist with level 5 inner energy is useless, then can there still be geniuses in the aristocratic families in Songning City? Shen Jingxian flattened her mouth. You are really good at lying. Sweat. Xiao Chen suddenly remembered that Shen Jingxian saw him fighting the shark in the water previously. He couldn't help but sigh. Zhu Yingxiong knew his strength, and Xiao Chen trusted him very much. Other than that, no one knew that Xiao Chen had such strength and wasn't a useless person. Shen Jingxian was the second. This made Xiao Chen a little embarrassed. To be honest, his relationship with Shen Jingxian wasn't particularly close. At that time, he pursued Shen Jingxian all day. Perhaps Shen Jingxian was annoyed enough. Therefore, the relationship between the two was only passable. This was after he sent Shen Jingxian home. If it were another person, Xiao Chen might have killed them, but he really couldn't do it to Shen Jingxian. You will keep it a secret from me, right? Not knowing why, Shen Jingxian heard Xiao Chen's somewhat helpless tone. Her heart shivered. If not, will you kill me to keep it a secret? Xiao Chen took a deep breath and looked at Shen Jingxian. A trace of helplessness flashed in his eyes. No, you are the girl I used to like very, very much. Xiao Chen's words instantly touched the softness in Shen Jingxuan's heart. She fell into Xiao Chen's arms powerlessly and asked, then, what about now? There is no now. Xiao Chen sighed and said faintly, this assumption is a bit far. It was impossible for me and you before. Now, it is even more impossible, so I'd better be realistic. Shen Jingxian didn't know why, but after hearing Xiao Chen's words, she suddenly felt very uncomfortable in her heart. She had an urge to cry. Not knowing where the courage came from, Shen Jingxuan's body suddenly sank down. Previously, Xiao Chen had been holding Shen Jingxuan's buttocks, but that was because they were swimming rapidly in the water. He was afraid that Shen Jingxian would fall off him, but now that they were floating on the water, it was safe. Xiao Chen couldn't keep taking advantage of Shen Jingxian, not to mention that Shen Jingxian was still hanging on him, so he didn't pay attention. However, now that Shen Jingxian let go, she fell down. Xiao Chen was shocked and quickly sank into the water again. Because he was still holding a shark, Xiao Chen's speed was not slow, but he still fell more than 10 meters before he caught up with Shen Jingxian and grabbed her. Shen Jingxuan's face at the moment was also a bit ugly, as if she was out of oxygen. As soon as Xiao Chen grabbed her, Shen Jingxuan's body naturally leaned over and fell into Xiao Chen's arms. Her lips also naturally stuck to Xiao Chen's mouth. Xiao Chen was a little dumbfounded. What is this situation? Shen Jingxian was fine. How did she sink into the sea again? Could it be that she grabbed me too hard before, and when she floated to the water, she lost her strength and fell down again? Thinking about it, there was only this possibility. Other than that, Xiao Chen couldn't think of anything else. Xiao Chen quickly began to use his primordial qi to transform the air into Shen Jingxuan's mouth. Shen Jingxuan's face slowly improved. She opened her eyes and looked at Xiao Chen. Her eyes were a little blurred. At this moment, Shen Jingxuan's heart was beating fast. Although Xiao Chen also felt it, he thought that Shen Jingxuan's heart was beating faster because she fell into the sea. In fact, Shen Jingxuan's heart was really confused. Is this the feeling of liking someone? Shen Jingxian didn't know. Since she was born, she had always been a good girl. Her heart was as still as water. She had never liked any boy, nor had she paid attention to anyone. She was also resigned to her family's engagement because she didn't know what love was, and she didn't have anyone she liked. Therefore, she naturally wouldn't fight against the arrangement of her family. But now, Shen Jingxian suddenly found that she fell in love with Xiao Chen's embrace. Sometimes, in just an instant, one's impression and perception of a person could undergo earth-shattering changes. In the past, whatever Xiao Chen said, although she would listen patiently and smile at him, she had never taken it to heart. Now, a casual sentence from Xiao Chen could make her heart ache, and make a move that made her feel very irrational and surprised. However, after Shen Jingxuan's impulse, she also regained her rationality. In her eyes, Xiao Chen and Qing Menjing were a couple, and Qing Menjing was her best friend. How could she do something that would let Qing Menjing down? When Xiao Chen brought Shen Jingxian to the surface of the water, Shen Jingxuan's mood also recovered its previous calmness. Although she was a little reluctant in her heart, she still pretended that nothing had happened. She shook her head, leaned back, and separated from Xiao Chen's lips. You're tuning into the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.